Magistrate Short, Magistrate Gay, Magistrate Cullen, Magistrate Sammons. Now, I know I voted on everyone, but I'm not registered in that. And you work for the judge, and I understand that. And if the judge would approve it, I would like to see a record of all of the appropriations and those who voted for it and those who voted against it.
Mr. Kaywood, I'll be glad to go back and re-listen and see what I can pick up. I was having trouble hearing who was voting when, but I'll be glad to go back and review each one of these.
I understand that, and I really do appreciate it. And if it can be done, and I hope it won't be a burden, but if I'm going to have to defend this on social media, I'd like to have the record in my hand. So therefore, I would like to be prepared, and I would appreciate if you could help me out in that area, and the rest of the court members.
Yeah, Judge Tom Ellis speaking here. I totally concur with Magistrate Kaywood. As I recall, this might be the first time we've listed them, but I think it was the judge's initiative in asking us to call out our names when we were sitting in the courtroom last meeting. And I think it's very effective to have who voted how. And so I totally agree with Magistrate Kaywood that henceforth we do this. I was pleased as I was going over the minutes to see that we had, in most cases, the actual vote.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, is there any other discussion? I appreciate your comments. Is there any other discussion regarding the regular scheduled meetings to vote on? I will say this, if Ann can go back and capture the by name votes on each, I think we did it by name on each of the appropriations that she can recapture. If she can't, she'll do the best that she can from the recordings.
I understand. I understand, and I appreciate her effort very much.
All right. Is there no further discussion on the regular scheduled meeting minutes of 21 May? All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign, and the motion carries. All right, next is the, I dropped that. Next is the special called meeting.
Gay will make that motion as well.
Ellis, second.
Seconded by Magistrate Ellis, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Motion made by Magistrate Gay and seconded by Magistrate Ellis. Okay, the discussions, please.
Judge, at the bottom of page 3, the last line, Magistrate Sammons, that actually was a formal motion, as you see at the top of the next page, and somehow the words need to be in there. Magistrate Sammons made a motion.
All right, just add the words on the bottom of page 3. Magistrate Sammons made a motion to purchase.
Thank you.
Is there any other comments, questions, or corrections? There being none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the special call meetings, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, now, Lawrence, I believe you're up.
Good morning.
Morning.
Standing orders for June 9th, $1,529.85. Payroll, $233,414.66. POs and vouchers, total is $4,057,270.06. And this includes one change. We have the final number, the actual number for the money market transfer that we're doing. And that number was changed from $1,026,317.48 to $1,026,561.84, which reflects the total as of this morning. Our grand total for the accounts payable for June 9th, 2020 is $4,292,000 $214.57.
Mary, you look like you want to say something.
Oh, no, not at all. Does anybody have any questions about the money market item that Laurent brought up? Because included in your bills was, I guess, a cash transfer from the money market to the general fund checking. The reason that I have decided to present this is the interest that we're making on those funds, were substantial at one point in time, but they've gone to 0.22%, and I can move those to our general fund account at 0.75%. So that's why we're drawing these funds out and putting them back into the, and I looked at Keiko's rates as well, Judge, just for your information. They were at 0.43. So,
So
yeah,
you get
at the time that I looked at them about a week ago when I decided to do this. So
Okay.
that's where we are with those funds, and I hope we can agree to do this.
All right. Well, discussion on approval of the bills. I entertain a motion. Any discussion?
I make a motion. Short.
Short makes a motion to approve the bills as presented.
Gay will second.
Gay will second the motion. Let's just, any discussion on the bills as presented? No discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. And we'll start with budget transfers.
I circulated those transfers after they were complete last night. I circulated those in an email to your district email accounts. In addition, there were paper copies submitted to the clerk, so I hope everybody got a copy of those. I need, it's primarily interdepartmental movement of budget for overages and those areas where we're not going to spend the balance of the line item to cover some of those expenses that have gone over. So some of those were COVID, newly created COVID-19 line items. So if you could approve those, it keeps us in compliance with our administrative regulations that are required by the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the budget transfers.
I make a motion. Short.
Short makes the
Hey,
motion
good second.
and Kay Wood seconds the motion. Discussion on as presented by the treasurer. No discussion? All those in favor of approving the budget transfers signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right,
Thank you.
cash transfers.
So we've already talked about one of those cash transfers, and that would be the money market account. So that's already been presented. There's also a general fund checking to the jail debt account. And that's not going to go specifically to the joint jail account. It's going to be going back into the general fund in a special account that I've got that set up and waiting to be open today once we create the check. And that's $48,600. I don't know if I mentioned that, but we're just moving that from our general fund checking to a jail debt account in the general fund as well. The next one was on your list of bills that I'm going to present. At the end of the day, I was given a deposit that had a $200,000+ check from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the Transportation Cabinet listed in it. And so I don't think I need the general fund checking to the Public Works account. So if you'll authorize that contingent upon the necessity of that, I think we have enough money to finish out the fiscal year. I was hoping not to transfer this $69,000. So if you'll allow me to make that determination on your behalf, I would appreciate that. In addition, there is a request to move from the general fund checking to the joint jail checking, $91,250, and that's a total of $125,000 to the jail, the balance of that being Mercer County's general fund that will be supporting the balance of that cash transfer. And the last one is from the general fund checking to the EMS checking, and that would be $150,000, which is, all of these are with it, except for the road department, are within the projections that we have made as it relates to the carryover into your 2021 fiscal year budget. So if you could approve those, specifically the $69,000 public works, allow me to determine whether or not we need that. And I will follow up at the next meeting to let you know if in fact we did need those funds to be transferred. Thank you.
Okay, we'll make that motion with the allowance for the treasurer based on her judgment for the $69,000 cash transfer.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, we have a motion for the cash transfers. Is there a second?
Second it short.
Second.
Okay, Short won the buzzer on that one. It's been seconded by Magistrate Short. Is there any discussion on cash transfers? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. And the motion carries. Thank you, Treasurer Conley.
Thank you.
All right, we're ready to go to consent calendar. First on my agenda is the appointment of Tim Montgomery to CVB, the Convention Visitors Bureau. Does anybody like to speak to this?
Judge, I would.
Okay,
Kaywood here.
yes, sir.
I didn't know this was on here. I didn't know CVB was we had a position open. Could you give me just a little history of who has been serving and what's going on?
Cindy Simmons has been serving in that position, and her term expires the 30th of this month.
Okay.
She's been there.
Did she not want to go forward, or?
I'll be honest with you, Master Kaywood, I haven't had a conversation with her. I had a recommendation based on the impending expiration of term, and from a fellow magistrate, and I put that's what this is considered an appointment as a recommendation.
And I understand. I guess my point is, I didn't realize that position was open because I have a recommendation, and I didn't know whether to go forward to see if this person would be willing to serve. I didn't know this position was available. So I guess I'm a little confused on the process. Was this put out? Did I miss it in the minutes? I looked in the minutes, didn't see. Was this put out for us to make recommendations? Did I miss it?
I don't know that it was necessarily put out. Jason, you might have, I think we have a list of all the board appointments and their expiration of term, and one comes up. I thought everybody had a copy of that at some point in time. Maybe I'm mistaken, but
We actually have several copies of that. I've received several copies. Anne's been great about it. So so I looked to see what was out there, and I know that several people in the community are interested in serving on appointments. I'm very much against that we continue to give people appointments that have already served if other people are already on board to serving. And so I firmly believe that with the investment that Mr. Montgomery has made into this community, and especially on Main Street and other various places, and with his expertise as a CPA in tax information, and I really think that he could serve well for the community, and I think he deserves the opportunity to serve. He's committed a lot to being a part of this community. And I think that he will serve well on tourism. But yes, nothing was brought up to me. I didn't need anyone to tell me that something was expiring. Took it upon myself to look and see and ask that, you know, we have these board appointments. It's our responsibility to look to see who's on our boards and make recommendations if we see one that's becoming available, which is what I did. And I stand behind it.
John?
Do we have an appointment and isn't there a committee that is supposed to
This
be
was discussed
engaged in
before.
this?
No, there's not a committee on appointments. The appointments go to General Hunt. Recommendations go to General Hunt. And then from there, it's brought up amongst the fiscal board.
We're
So you guys
discussing
don't, the
approval.
committee doesn't need enough to sit here and go through all these appointments. So this is really at the judge's discretion. It's been discussed before, so.
I appreciate that, and this is no reflection on Mr. Montgomery, none whatsoever. I want to make that clearly understood. It's the process, I guess, and if it's my fault that I don't have that piece of paper, it's my fault, and I'll take responsibility for it. But this is effective as of 7/1, I noticed. So this is something that could be done at the next meeting, which would give me the opportunity to talk to the judge and have the same opportunity as Magistrate Cullen did in order to make a suggestion, and then he gets to make the finalize it. I respect and understand that. That's the process. I understand that process, but I didn't. I'll apologize for not knowing, my ignorance for not knowing that that appointment was available. So I'll plead my case, and Judge, you can be the determining factor, Judge Hunt, as to whether or not the case is closed or whether or not it's still open for suggestions.
Well, I have two appointments to consider on the agenda today, and one of them was a resignation and a recommendation by the person resigning, who is also the chairman of a committee for the appointment consideration of Miss Patricia Beasley on the Human Rights Commission. And this came from a very well established, distinguished James Hunt Sr., who resigned at the end of May. And his recommendation carries a lot of weight with me because he's been a stellar supporter of the Human Rights Commission. Now, if there's a different process that we need to do on board appointments, I'm open to consider, but it's still, I don't know what's right because I'm still relatively new.
General Hunt, we've been through this already. We talked about this a month and a half ago, along with the personnel committee. And at that point, it was determined that it is at your discretion. We have it on the calendar. I don't want to make this meeting any longer than it has. I believe that Mr. Montgomery is completely qualified. So it's on the consent calendar. Magistrates, can vote whether they want to approve him or not. And then, but I think it's ultimately our responsibility to make sure if there's somebody that we'd like to see appointed, that appointment is presented to you, and that way you can go ahead and weigh out all the people there and then put the names forward. But I don't want to drag this meeting out. Mr. Montgomery's here, kind of embarrassing a little bit, so.
Judge, may I make a comment real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
Let me make a comment real quick. The fiscal court has an administrative code that has set up certain committees, and included in those committees is a board appointments committee. So what the fiscal court, I think, and the county judge need to determine is this a committee? Because we are in the process of reviewing the fiscal court's administrative code. And we'll be talking about this. I think we need to determine, is this a committee? And first and foremost, and if it is a committee, what is the purpose and function of this committee? And how does it need to be or included or excluded from the administrative code? And so that's all I have to say about that. Thank you very much.
I would just like to add, if I may, I'd just like to add, I think all the magistrates should have the opportunity to make suggestions
Well, I
because
do
we
too.
all are going to vote. So,
I do too.
well,
We all have the opportunity. General Hunt's door is never closed, so.
well, I'm sorry, sir, but I don't spend my day over there like maybe you have time.
I don't
to
either.
do what you would do.
I
I
have two
respect
businesses. I
that,
don't have time to.
but
I make sure it's an important thing. So.
my point is, if the door is still open and any magistrate can have the right to make a suggestion and there's time, that opportunity to be offered, but it is Judge Hunt's decision. And I appreciate and I understand that. And I'm just making a point.
We have discussed this previously. Is there a way that I can help improve all of the court's awareness of opportunities for new positions or when, because I thought that we had circulated the list of all the board appointments and their expiration dates by name and by function.
We have.
If that hasn't gotten to everybody, I apologize, but I thought we had done that.
I would just suggest, if I could just suggest that we have that, but it would be helpful if maybe when one is under consideration and coming up, if an email reminder or something to that effect could be sent out it's time to be considered. And again, this has nothing.
Time for more responsibility.
I didn't hear what you had to say, Magistrate Cullen.
I said, is this something that we're going to now slap on Ann as more responsibility, that we have to table our responsibilities as magistrates, that we're not paying attention to the things that we're supposed to be doing, that we have to ask Ann to send us a reminder? And that's kind of silly.
Master Cullen, I don't appreciate being preached at. I take that personally. And if you think I'm shunning my job, then you can talk to me about that another day. I'm just saying to you that I don't think every magistrate has.
Well,
it's your decision, Judge, and whatever you decide is what it will be.
what I think, based on the discussion today, and I see value in both discussion points. I think what we need to do today, I think, Ms. Beasley, are you online?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought that was you. I think what I want to do today, because I don't want any consternation between the court, the judge, potential appointees, and former servants of the boards and commissions. I want to, as of today, I want to make sure that every magistrate has in their hands a copy of the boards and administrations and commissions appointments, their expirations and by name on each one. It's a fairly substantial list. And I will apologize to Ms. Beasley and to Tim Montgomery, but I want to postpone this by 7 days to our next court meeting. Okay? And I give everybody the opportunity to make some recommendations. But these two individuals have been corresponded with, and I just say this, I'm not trying to, I want to be inclusive rather than exclusive. And I don't know how else better to say it, but when we come to the court, we need to come with a recommendation on jobs when they become available. I don't know if a tickler file from Ann to those that this month we have 4 board expiration appointments to consider or something like that in these areas. I don't know what's right, but we're going to have to figure something out, because we do not need to take our citizens like Ms. Beasley and Mr. Montgomery and get them, interested into something, and then we not be committed behind it as a court, as somebody to move us forward.
I know what you're saying.
Excuse me?
But I understand what you're saying. This is kind of embarrassing though, because
And I apologize.
It's been on the agenda. How long ago did we get our packets?
I don't know.
This
Some
has
of
been
it.
on the agenda, so if there was a question or a concern, it's on your agenda. Could have
We
brought it
mailed-
up instead of being at court,
We mailed these
because
out
the
last
agenda got
Thursday.
changed within the last 24 hours.
We mailed these packets out last Thursday, and as Ann will tell you and Mary will tell you, 4 or 5 of them came back delivered to us by the post office because they were undeliverable for being a suspicious package. So some magistrates didn't get it till yesterday afternoon. That's not anybody's fault. It's not anybody's fault. I still am willing and want to consider both Montgomery and Mrs. Beasley as appointees to their respective boards. And Mrs. Beasley, I see you online. Do you have anything you'd like to say? Because I apologize, and it's probably my fault as much as any for not having a clear process involved. But Mr. Hunn thinks the world of you. I think the world of Mr. Hunn, and his recommendation stands with you, and that's a submission to me.
Yes, but I did get emails saying that I was appointed. I thought that
But
I thought that I was
Yes,
already
ma'am,
appointed.
that may have been erroneously stated because you're not appointed until the court confirms the recommendations. And that's, I'm sure, I apologize for that misstatement of wording, but the court does approve all recommendations to board appointments.
Okay.
Ms. Beasley, this is John Kaywood, and I hope that you will understand my position is the process and not you. I would
Yeah, I
be
understand
very-
that.
Please, I have most respect for all involved, and Mr. Montgomery, the same thing. Ms. Beasley, I see that your appointment is dated June the 1st, and if the court would like to move forward with that one, we have until July on Mr. Montgomery, but if you would like to move forward with that one, Judge, I have no problem with that. I just like to be sure we get the process straightened out.
I need a
But there is no
recommendation
process.
consensus by each of the courts what the process is then. Because as we've discussed previously, everybody should know when they're coming. I'm not laying blame on anybody, but we should know. I make a recommendation, you all make a recommendation, we're listening, and I'm ready to move forward, but I need to know what the court's decision is regarding, I think we need to have a vote. I don't know. Do we table?
It's on the consent calendar.
Excuse me?
It's on the consent calendar. Can we just move forward and vote? Because you can't pick and choose which ones you're going to just, you can't say, okay, this one's person's is effective June 1, so we should vote on them. Well, I don't want to do this one because we didn't get input on those. We didn't get input on Ms. Beasley, and I, like you, I have immense respect for Mr. Hunn Jr. and Senior. And so I you know, I have no problem with her appointment to this. But we talked about this 2 months ago, and we said that there was not going to be board appointments through the committee, that they were effectively, they come through you, because we've had this discussion at length, and we're having it now again. I'm sorry other people did not take the opportunity to look to see what's available. Tourism is near and dear to my heart. I think this county needs more of it, and we need people that are effective on that board, which I could not think of a more appropriate person than Mr. Montgomery to help us get that board on track. So if you're going to appoint, if you're going to go ahead and push one through, you got to do both. They're both on the consent calendar, sir.
All right, well, my apologize to Ms. Beasley. I don't think this is a reflection of what may or may not happen in the future, Ms. Beasley, but I would appreciate your grace and your mercy and understanding that until we get this collectively ironed out as a court, and it's my bad because I'm the leader of this thing, and this reflects negatively on me, and I apologize to you, but we'll get this straightened out. And what I want to do is invite you to come back online on the 18th. Well, not the 18th. What is the next court session? Is it the 18th? Okay, the 18th of this month. And I want to invite you back. And if you can give us that grace, I would sure appreciate that from you, Ms. Beasley. And we will say the same thing to Mr. Montgomery.
I have the 23rd. General, I have the 23rd.
23rd is election day. We moved it up because of election day from the 23rd to the 18th.
18th at 9 a.m.
Yes, ma'am.
That's
Okay,
correct. Duly recorded.
okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Ms. Beasley.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right,
Bye-bye.
we'll pass on voting on both of those until the 18th. And please, I will send out today, and you be looking for it, a complete electronic list of all board appointments by name and their expiration dates. And we'll figure out a way that we can have a signature sheet or a recommendation sheet, and it being in my office no later than 2 weeks prior to the scheduled end of term. Okay? We're moving on. Next.
Just for the record, in case I haven't said it enough, this is embarrassing. So
I'm embarrassed. I am personally embarrassed, and I apologize to everybody involved. But we'll get this straightened out, and once we get it straightened out, we'll move forward. All right. Boyle County Health Department. Brent, I see you online. It's your show. Thank you.
Hello, guys, ladies. Always appreciate seeing all of you all. Haven't seen you in a while, and hope everybody's doing well. This is the time every year that I come before the court to tell you what I'm requesting for my tax rate this year, and then ask you guys to vote on that. Now this year, and we've had this problem in a couple previous years, but the problem this year is because of the slowdown in Frankfurt. The commissioner has not been able to sign, it's called the CH-61 form. So the way it works this year, and my budget analyst in Frankfurt has been in touch with the county attorney, Chris, and Chris, I appreciate your work on this also. So what happens with the form this year, and I've sent that because normally I just hand it to the county attorney, but I've sent it to you, Judge Hunt, Ann, I think I sent it to Ann, and I sent it back to Chris, and Chris has seen it. All the board members have signed it. I've got all that. It's fine to do it. And on top of that, I'm not asking for a rate increase. I'm keeping it at the same that it's been the previous year, which is 3.7 per 100. So really all I'm asking for this year is just the board's vote on that. And then what happens is once the commissioner officially signs that, then I give that form to Chris, and he duly notes that. However, that has to happen. And also understanding that Chris has looked into some of the laws on that, and there might be a change on how that works in the future, maybe to do that. So that's what I'm presenting today.
All right. Thank you, Brent. And we entertain a motion for the.
Kaywood makes that motion, and with gratitude to the health department for the fine work that they do, and particularly with what they've been through. Brent's had extra work, I know. And Brent, thank you and your people there for all y'all do.
Sammons seconds that motion, Judge.
All right, motion made by Magistrate Kaywood and seconded by Magistrate Sammons to approve the tax rate as presented by Mr. Blevins. Is there discussion on the motion? There being none, let's do a roll call vote, and we'll go left to right to Magistrate Gay.
Yes.
Magistrate Short.
yes.
I say Magistrate Cullen.
Yes.
All right, Magistrate Kaywood.
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis
Yes.
and Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Blevins.
Thank you, Judge. I'd like to take 1 second and just say one other thing. I know everybody on this call has had my back the last 3 or 4 months, and I greatly appreciate that, because there's been a lot of you that I've talked to personally, and I've had some real needs, and I've called people personally, and then I've had conversations, and it really helps me and the people here at the health department with what we've been doing and trying to do. And it's just good to know, because I know not every county has that ability to work together as we do here. And I really appreciate that. So thank you guys, and keep up the good work. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate it. We appreciate you.
Brad, I think
could
it's
I
just a reflection.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead, George.
Friend, it has not left my mind the no smoking issue that it was discussed with Magistrate Cullen, and I particularly, I think, came forward for consideration. It has not been forgotten, but in all of this that's been going on for the last several months, I think it's gotten kind of shoved under the table, but I believe we need to get it back on the table and have discussion on that issue.
All right, we'll take that under advisement, and you're free to present that at any time under new business. Since we're talking about the health department budgets, I can see the correlation, but we'll move on if it's okay, Magistrate Kaywood.
That's fine.
All right, thank you. Next on our agenda, we have, I'm gonna take a request by presenter. We move our jailer up from G on our agenda to give his quarterly report, and he's in the office with me right now. So I'm gonna ask him to make that report, and there he is.
Good morning. As required by KRS, I'm supposed to get a quarterly report. So today, our total numbers are at 140. Boyle inmates are 29. Mercer inmates are 18. Department of Correction 82. And I'm holding 12 for other counties that I cannot transfer due to the COVID-19. The Department of Corrections is still not allowing us to move inmates between facilities. So any questions on the numbers? Next, it's time for our Southern Health Partners, who provides our medical care at the jail. This has to begin by July the 1st. You should have a copy of this in your packet. Basically, it's a 3% increase.
It wasn't circulated.
It wasn't circulated?
No, it wasn't. Remember, that affects the budget, and it has to go before joint jail before it comes to the fiscal court.
Okay, so we're gonna do that Friday and come to the court on the 18th then.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Now, the jailer cannot be there on Friday because of other commitments, but we'll take that and get that taken care of.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, and then last, I'd like to present the fiscal court.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd like to present the fiscal court with a $25,000 check from our canteen fund. By KRS, this money can be used to go and offset our mental health costs, our medical costs. So I'd like to go ahead and present you all with a $25,000 check from the canteen fund to help offset some of the costs at the jail.
I think this is great. We thank you, and this will go to help offset some of the costs in the jail, whether it be in the mental health area or in the physical health area. But thank you, Jalen. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Well, that's great. I always love getting money. Mary, you should be getting some money here.
Absolutely. And just for more information, I was unaware of all this. That will also affect your budget because we can't spend any money that's not budgeted. So we'll have to incorporate that into your next year's budget, and I would, maybe it would be best if we waited until July 1st to receive that money, because if you receive that money today, we will have to amend. I mean,
You could add in the budget.
Yeah, I just timing is everything, and I don't want to get in trouble. So let's put it in the budget, and that way we'll apply it to next year's medical costs.
I should give it back to him, and he'll give it to us in a couple of weeks.
That would be preferable. Yeah, sorry.
Judge Tom Ellis here, Magistrate Ellis. I'd just like to commend Brian and his entire staff for their fiscal management of our detention center.
Yeah, I agree with you, Magistrate Ellis. I agree with you.
Thank you.
He said, I've never had anybody turn down a check like that before.
It's, it's of the magnitude, unfortunately. So, DLG has gotten very, very particular about new monies and how it's treated in the budget. So, yeah.
Yeah. Just don't change. No, don't change the date. All right, see you later. All right, thank you. All right. Let me find my agenda. It fell that, I moved it somewhere. All right. Trying to see what I do with my agendas. What's next?
Public Works.
There it is.
EMS.
All right.
Alice Springs Road. Public Works.
Don't skip me, Dwayne.
No, EMS is next. EMS is next.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Court.
Director Roger.
I have 2 part-time hires to consider today. EMS committee, we met a few minutes this morning. They were able to meet the first one, Jeff Ryan. The other one is paramedic Eric Jumper, and he'd been with us before. He actually went to paramedic school with John and I, so he's not new to the system. He moved away for a few years and came back. So we have 2 part-time hires to consider effective today. Eric Jumper's pay rate will be $15 per hour. EMT Jeff Ryan's pay rate will be $12 an hour. I put that for you before the court for consideration, please.
In our committee meeting, this Kaywood, in our committee meeting, Jeff was there. Would add to it that he also does some work at the ER, so that's a great combination and learning experience. So I think that these are good hires, and Magistrate Cullen can add, but I think we both would agree and recommend it to the court.
Agree fully with Magistrate Kaywood.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve by Magistrate Kaywood and seconded by Magistrate Cullen. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Any discussion on these recommendations for part-time hire? Other than what's been said? There being none, let's go around the room and do a voice vote. Magistrate Gay.
Yes.
Magistrate Short.
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Kaywood.
Yes.
All right, Magistrate Ellis
Yes.
and Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
Thank you. It passes unanimously. Thank you all for that vote. Appreciate it. Director Rogers, is that it?
That's it, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you, Court.
All right, you have a good day. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, Public Works. Now, Dwayne, you're up.
Now I can unmute my microphone, right?
Yeah.
We have a request that's been made to us and being made to you all from Wilderness Trail Distillery. As you know, of course, they purchased the property on the south side of Lebanon Road, there across from their existing property. And their future plans for that property are still being developed, but whichever route they go, it will involve some tractor trailer traffic in and out of their property. And they're offering to improve the intersection of Alum Springs Cross Pike with Kentucky 34 Lebanon Road at their expense. And so I think you received in your email, the earlier email, you received a drawing that looked much like that. And it showed a long taper out on 34. The part that you see going up the drawing there was a shoulder taper going out on the 34. Well, after they submitted that to the state for a permit and for their guidance on this project as well, the state came back and told them that they could not put that taper on 34. And so now they've had to come back, and we sent that to you yesterday, but I don't know if you've had a chance to read your email yesterday or not. But they've come back now which way you want me to turn that? They've come back now and had to shorten that taper, as you see here, and had to end it at the end of the radius. So they're proposing to widen the road and widen that intersection there at 34, which has been, we've looked at that for quite some time. Really didn't have the money, couldn't come up with the money to do that project. They're offering to do that at their expense to improve this intersection, and it badly needs to be improved. And this would be on the east side of that roadway. They would be widening the road to the east. They would be adding a shoulder to the east. And that way, anybody turning right out of that intersection back toward Danville would not have to swing out across the yellow stripe. And it would just make the intersection much, much safer. But anyway, I felt like that was something that needed to be presented to the court and let the court review it. And the court would, need to approve that or accept that improvement. They're also proposing to deed to the county, the needed additional right of way to do this construction. And I think the only thing I think they were kind of asking about is whether or not the county attorney would write the deed for this off conveyance of land or of additional right of way.
Can I ask a question, Judge? This is Sammons.
Yes, sir.
They're gonna pay for this, Dwayne. Who's gonna do the work? They hired Allen Company, or are you the go between, or what's the real deal? I just found out about this yesterday when I got my packet.
I think that they're not that far along yet, but I would think they would contract with somebody to do that work, and I would think it would probably somebody like Allen Company. I would suspect it probably would be Allen Company. Allen Company's been doing other work for them out there on their site.
They would be responsible for contacting someone, not you, correct?
Responsible, yes. They would be responsible for securing a contractor. We would just be on site, every day to check what they're doing, make sure it all looks good and they're doing it according to their proposed plan.
So we have no money involved, correct?
That's correct.
Dwayne, Magistrate Ellis here. 311 feet apparently is going to be backing up onto Alum Springs. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is this going to mean there will actually be semis ever on Alum Springs?
Yes.
I don't think there are any neighbors down that way as I picture the land in my mind, but there's some pretty narrow spots along there. Hope that's being taken into consideration.
Right. Well, and of course, the roadway itself is about 20 foot wide, which is, unusual for a county road, but it is one of our widest county roads, but there are no shoulders. So, if you have to leave the roadway, if you meet somebody, for some reason you have to edge off the road, there are no shoulders at this time.
Well,
in a lot of places.
In the spirit of cooperation with all of our constituents, I would hope that neighbors would be quickly contacted about this.
Dwayne, do you know, is the semi traffic just in that corner area to get to their other property?
It would not be too far beyond this. I think there's an entrance. This probably takes it up close to the top of the hill, if you're familiar with the way the road lays there. And I think just over the hill, a little ways down is an entrance that they probably will widen and improve upon, to be able to get their trucks in and out of the farm there. So they're not going to be traveling all the way through this road. It mainly be just on this end, would be the northern end of the road.
I'll make the motion. I'll make the motion that we approve this contingent upon state and, county guidelines and guidance and approval, and with Wilderness Trail obviously funding the project.
Okay, there's a motion to accept the project as presented by Wilderness Trail. Is there a second to the motion?
Kaywood will second.
Kaywood seconds the motion. I'd like to say, I doubt very seriously if you see very much semi-traffic go toward Alum Springs from that cross pike entry point that will eventually be just up to the property and slightly beyond.
Well, let's point out the obvious here that whether this gets done or not is not going to stop the semis. This is just going to make it safer. So if they're willing to make that intersection safer at their cost,
I don't see how
this is a win-win for the county.
It's a win-win.
The semis are going there.
And
So
and
it's just
there's
maybe-
already some grain production out that way anyway. So there's probably already semis on that road.
Yeah, so this is just gonna make it safer and they're doing the right thing, to make sure the public is safe. So I don't see the negative on here. It's not gonna stop them from putting semis out there, so.
Sometimes we get semis on Stewart's Lane.
Right now you have a semi on Yates Road, and Yates Road's only a single lane width.
I get semis on Kemper, are you kidding me? So.
All right, any further discussion on the motion?
Question for Dwayne, please.
All right,
Yes,
go.
yes, sir.
Here. Dwayne, will you be overseeing the work, and will the quality of the job, and my terminology may not be too good, but will it be the quality that the state and the county meet their specs?
Yes,
Perfect.
Kendall Wise is doing the surveying and the engineering on the project, and I'll get with him on that to be sure that, that the spec, in accordance with the state specifications.
Yes,
Okay.
Magistrate Kaywood, I made that as part of my motion as well, that it has to meet state
Yeah.
and county.
I just
specifications.
want to be sure that Dwayne knows that we're depending upon him to be signing off on all this.
Yeah, we'll be watching closely.
Good, thank you.
Any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, I believe we did have a second to the motion. It's been a while. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that's on the record. So if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion on Alum Springs Cross Pike widening, go around the room. Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short,
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen.
Yes.
All right, Magistrate Kaywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis,
Yes.
Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
All right, appreciate it. That's a unanimous vote. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll work with Chris. I think he's left the room, but on the development of this deed, because he may prefer that they I'll get with him and follow his direction on that as far as preparation of the
By the
addition,
way,
the deed
Dwayne,
for the
he's
right
in
of way.
the office, he's listening to you.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So what we'll
And
follow.
I think
We'll go with his preference on that.
All right.
I think it's the right thing to do to show a little appreciation to Wilderness on this one. This was a nice thing for them to do for that part of the community.
I agree.
Yes.
They don't have to. And this is their nickel. So I agree. Next is our county attorney has a presentation to the court, and he has a little different stipulation, Mary, if you might be aware of, as far as timing on this. Okay. So, there we go. Uh-oh, what did happen? I think it just nuked.
Anybody here? Put back on.
There we go. There we go. Can anybody hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, he's gonna come around behind me. There we go.
Good morning. So I took office back in 2019, and when I did so, there's so many things that you learn while the responsibilities and so forth of the county attorney. And so I've done extensive research, and I've gone to lots of trainings and so forth, kind of the do's and what not to do of a county attorney. And so after doing my extensive research, I came to a statute that I researched further, and it deals with cold check collection. So one of the duties of the county attorney is to collect on cold checks. I think I've even collected for Mr. Kaywood on his business cold check before. But anyway, with cold checks, the county attorney is allowed to charge a fee for the collection process of those cold checks. And with the fees that are charged for the cold checks, the county attorney is able to use that money for operating expenses for the county attorney's office. Well, you guys might not be familiar with this, but there's a certain statute, which is KRS 514-040, and it talks directly about the cold check collection for county attorneys. And it says that any fees collected by the county attorney that I don't use by June 30th of each year, I have to turn it over to the fiscal court by end of the next fiscal year. So when I took office in 2019, in January, any funds I collected up until June 30th that I did not use for operating expenses would be funds that I would be obligated by statute and mandated by statute to turn over to the fiscal court. So today, I'm prepared to do as required by statute, my duty to turn over to the fiscal court. And these funds, which the statute talks about, has to be turned over to the county treasurer before the end of the next fiscal year, which that would be by the end of
30 June this year.
June 30th this year. And with that, I have a check for the fiscal court in the amount of $40,498.13. And I want to turn it over to General Hunt today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. Well, let's see, here
So
we go.
I think that's wonderful. How are we going to handle that, Judge?
I'll give you my account number, Murray.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's cash it and put it in the bank.
Well, okay, so we're going to amend the budget then.
We have to, I think,
Yeah,
with
but-
this, because, but statutorily, it says before the end of the next FY.
And I understand that, and I've had the county attorney's excess fees in our budget every single year, except for this year, because in the past, the practice has always been, and to my knowledge, they've not gotten in trouble for it. But I think they're cracking down on the county attorneys for some odd reason. The auditor's office is, but the county attorney would do an audit and he would turn over any excess fees after the audit was complete. And I don't know if we can accept it contingent upon the depositing of those funds into the next fiscal year. I think if we did some kind of a motion to that effect, I just hate to have to, it's just a lot of work for staff, and if we could this one time accept it in this fiscal year contingent upon the depositing of those funds July 1. Then we'll put it in the budget along with the jailer's $25,000, and we'll be able to do this free and clear with all of the Department for Local Government regulations.
My understanding, by doing
Well,
what
Mary-
you're stating there, then we could free him of his statutory obligation and still be able to put it in next year's budget.
Yes, and that way we've accepted it, we've approved it, and then we'll deposit it July 1.
Two questions. One, Chris, your office within a year collected $40,000 on cold checks?
Actually, no. When I inherited, or when I was elected, there were several different, I have like probably about 6 different checking accounts with the county attorney's office. And this account that I had some money already in it. I don't know why it hadn't already been turned over to the fiscal court. I can't speak on prior, administrations or anything like that. But this money is money that some existed prior to me taking office, and then the rest of the money is money that I've collected, from January to June 30th of last year. So, don't expect a $40,000 check every year, because
And we don't. And we
checks
don't.
aren't as common as they were before. I mean, people use debit cards and so forth. So we don't collect, as much on cold checks as in past years. But yes, I mean, there was some money there that just hadn't been turned over to the fiscal court. So I'm going to follow statute.
Okay.
That's my responsibility. And it was interesting because here, probably about 3 to 4 weeks ago, Auditor Mike Harmon did an audit on about 9 different county attorney's offices in the state of Kentucky, and some weren't following the statute as it, is ordered for us to do. So, I want to follow statute to a T. I want to do everything right. I don't want my name in the paper unless it's good things written about me. So, I'm following statute, and that's why I'm doing what I did today.
So
Okay.
in essence, I
Well,
think.
so my second question,
Go ahead.
my second question was going to be to Mary, how do we handle this prior? But it sounds like, Chris, you've answered that, just wasn't happening as frequent.
No, well,
Um,
it was based on audits. They were having audits and then turning that money over. I was putting into the fiscal court's budget annually, $7,500 is what was, and this year I just didn't do it because there's been a period of time with the transition of county attorneys, and the prior county attorney, obviously we all knew, fell ill. And so
Okay.
I didn't know the details of that statute, but this is the first year that it was not in the budget.
Okay, all right. Well, General, I don't know what we need to do next, but given this amount of money that is being turned over by the county attorney's office, I know that I was actually going to save this for later, but this is perfect. I know that CASA is very deep to Chris's heart. And so now that we have this funds coming in for next year's budget, I would like to request that we go ahead and fully fund CASA's request. I think it was $4,000 for the year. I think that would be the right thing to do with this money that we have.
I would, I respect both that statement and Chris's support of CASA. I would ask that you restate that at an appropriate time when we can do that on the agenda under new business or reconsiderations of those discussions about appropriations. But I appreciate you saying that, and I don't disagree with that statement whatsoever.
Yes, thanks, Jason. I mean, CASA means, it's very,
You would bring it up under new business.
working with CASA workers for the last 15 years. I mean, they truly do make a difference with the children in dependency, abuse, and neglect situations. And, there's only so many social workers, they get, 30 or 40 different, people that they're in charge with. So these CASA workers are so important because they actually, are able to devote more time individually to the children who have been, removed from the home due to dependency, abuse, and neglect. So I think that is a very important organization that needs all the help that we can give them.
All right. In order
I'll
to,
restate that motion in new business.
okay. Mary, would you like to restate how we can address both this check and the previous check once it's approved by or under advisement by the joint jail, how we accept these for next year's budget?
Yeah,
Do you have any
I
language
think
recommendation?
I think you just accept the funds per statute and receive the funds July 1.
Okay. Everybody understand that statement? We receive, accept the funds as presented and receive it officially, July 1.
And for that matter, gentlemen, the check can even be dated 6:30 and he can give it to me at 4:30 and it's too late to deposit the money. So it will be deposited July 1.
Comments? Motion?
I make a motion, short.
All right. Is there a second to the motion to accept the, to acknowledge the statutory funds?
Seconded.
Okay,
Thank you.
Cullen
and,
seconded.
all right, Cullen seconded, made by Magistrate Short. Discussion on the motion. Anybody? Round the room, we'll take a vote. Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short,
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen. That was a yes. Okay, Magistrate,
Yeah, can you not hear me?
no, it didn't the first time. I do now.
All right, yes.
Okay. Kay Wood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis,
Yes.
Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes unanimously. I'd like to thank the county attorney and his hard work and everybody else on this. Thank you, Chris.
I'd also like as treasurer to say thank you to both elected officials for their consideration and contribution to the fiscal court budget to help offset expenses. And again, thank you.
I think it's huge, Chris, on your part and Brian Wolford on his part from the jail. I agree.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Glad I could help.
All right. Conservation District minutes. I think we've had a previous request for those minutes in the past by the court. And did everybody have a chance to review the minutes and acknowledge receipt? Is there any questions or comments about what is presented?
Judge, I have. Is Alan on the line by any chance?
I doubt it. No, sir.
Okay, then I guess, because he would be the one that would have to answer my questions. So I've reviewed them and there are some, but if he's not online, no sense in me going into it.
Does it affect your vote on the acceptance of the minutes, or would you prefer to meet
No,
with him directly, or
no.
should
I would question something, Judge, that maybe you would have some input.
Okay.
I'm looking at February 25, which is about halfway through those
Okay.
minutes. And I'm sorry the pages are not numbered, so I can't direct you to the straight page. But it was February 25, and the county's name is mentioned, and that's why you might be able to add to this, my question. Under the paragraph dead animal removal,
Yes, sir.
about halfway down, it says the county agreed to remove 2 buildings on the site, and the site was approved. I didn't realize we ever agreed to removing 2 buildings.
The 2 buildings were during that time in which the court gave me the authority to move forward on the issue. And one was the old county garage at the Perryville Convenience Center and the stone way station house next to it.
Okay,
And
you answered.
those have subsequently become non-approved sites.
Yeah, right, and I know that. I just, it was in the minutes that we had agreed to do it, and I didn't remember that we as a court agreed to do it, but we did give you authority to make decisions. So yes, that is correct.
Yes, sir.
And
That
I
was during that time, shortly after that
Right.
court guidance.
One other question I have is Mr. Bell signed in? Is John signed in?
I don't see his name on here anywhere.
Okay, well, let me just make a comment on the next page of those minutes. There's a discussion on a ball field, and I guess I didn't know there was a field over there. That field is not part of the Parks and Rec grouping, I assume. And I didn't know it was there, and I thought everything was under Parks and Rec, all the fields and everything, but I noticed that it's not. So just make a point so everybody knows.
I'm confused. Where is this field?
Well, the mayor, the Junction City mayor, and he said that they could use the field at the park. The field has not been used for approximately 20 years. And seeking help to renovate the fields, it is not associated with the recreation department. It's been given by just with donations. I have no idea where the field is. I'm only reading out of the minutes, and all I know is what's in their minutes. So I don't know, Tom.
It's in Junction?
It's in Junction.
Thank you.
Ron, would you know?
No, I do not know.
Okay, well, like I say, I'm sorry that it's not on page. There's no page numbers, but it's in the minutes of February 25. So if you want to look at that, I don't have anything to say about it other than it was information I didn't know. So just so you're aware.
Can I answer to that?
Yes, sir.
There used to be 2 ball fields at the Junction City Park. And
Yeah.
I don't know if they're both still intact or not, but that's one of the fields they're talking about.
Just one of them's
Proposing
intact.
to use the 13-year-old, 15-year-old league. They're proposing to have that baseball league down there this summer. And so they're trying to restore that field.
Well, if we've got a field, I like one to get used by our young people. That's my point, I guess I'm trying to get to.
Where's it located? I'm lost too.
It's located in the Junction City Park.
Let's hope they can get it used and used for the youth of the county. So that's great.
Yeah, it's
Well,
they used
have
to play games on it years ago, but they haven't played there in several years.
Yeah, they've only got one field there now, that they use, but there's supposed to be a company coming in and putting a whole new field in there. For Junction, so.
When you have assets for our young people, I like to see them get used. So let's hope that we can get this worked out and used, and that's my point.
I think I want to applaud the district's outreach to help with funding and expertise on moving the resurrection of this ball field forward.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that was kind
And
of their
John
role.
Bell has actually talked about this field a couple different times. Because he had a team from.
Well, thank you. We move on.
Did my response answer your question regarding the dead animal issue and the property?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there any other comments or questions about acceptance or acknowledgement of the minute?
Are we gonna talk about the budget? Because they've also circulated their budget for the next fiscal year, which coincides with the tax that the county has, the millage tax that the county has levied on their behalf, or allowed them to levy. Because I can go, has everybody got a copy of the budget? I think it's prudent just to kind of touch base with, because it's the minutes and the budget that were circulated to and the fiscal court should probably, I don't know if you want to do it this time, but should probably accept the budget and agree to it to a certain extent. And their budget, if you have a copy of it, is for July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2021. And they're going to projected that they're going to carry over, I believe it's $85,000 from the prior fiscal year. And then they have receipts there listed, their millage tax of $157,000 and some additional taxes that they receive from, it looks like the clerk in the state, and showing total receipts of $184,926, and then adding maybe that's 65. So their total available is $249,900. And then they list their expenditures of personnel, their operating expenditures, any supplies, their tree program, educational program, and then some additional miscellaneous operating expenses of dues and training and cost share programs, and a small amount of capital outlay of $1,000. So their total expenditures are $237,882, which includes a $70,000 line item for, I guess, the funds that they turn over to the county for a soil conservation program involving animals. So that leaves a balance on hand at the end of the fiscal year of June 30, 2021 of $12,043. So does
Gail will make the Gail will make the motion that we acknowledge receipt of their minutes and budget.
Do you want to approve their budget?
I think we should approve the budget as presented. And if you want to wait, we can have Alan come next time, or we can approve it based on the presentation by the treasurer that stated the facts before each of us.
Okay, I'll make the motion, acknowledge acceptance of the minutes and approval of their budget as presented.
I second it.
The motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? If you're looking at it, the part is under that affects the county government regarding the conservation district support of the animal removal aspect is DAR contract under education and promotion I can't read, E20310. Is there any discussion on the motion and the second as presented? All those in favor, let's go around the room. Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short,
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen, okay. We're having problem with hearing your mic sometimes, but it looks like that was a yes. Magistrate Kaywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis,
Yes.
Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. Thank you for that unanimously on the approval of the budget as presented and the minutes and acknowledgement of the minutes. All right, next we have the sheriff. He's online. There he is. Sheriff, request approval to purchase vehicles. Talk to us. I don't believe we're hearing you. Not yet.
Can't hear you, Chris.
He's like he's on a telephone call.
I know. I see the phone there, but I don't see the microphone.
About now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Technical difficulties. I'm asking permission for the vehicle that we had previously talked about, I guess, a month or so ago. This vehicle will replace Captain McCoy's vehicle that was wrecked on New Year's Eve where his dog died. And then also TJ Ren's vehicle that was totaled a month or so ago. The bid that I have, it's the state contract bid from Freedom Dodge on the pickup truck is $30,807. And I've whittled the equipment down from Lance, L&W Emergency Equipment, who has the state contract bid on the emergency equipment, to $9,128. We did try to get a separate bid for the equipment from a different company that's just started in Somerset, and they were considerably higher for the same equipment. So we tried to go a different route just to see if we could beat those prices, and we couldn't.
Do you mind to provide that when and if it's approved? Thank you.
I can bring it to you as soon as we get finished.
Oh, good.
Doesn't Stuart Powell have a state contract?
No, sir.
deal?
No, sir.
No.
Nobody in Boyle
Nobody in
County
Boyle
or-
County does.
No, sir.
And the next question, Judge, you might allow me, why a pickup truck?
That's the cheapest.
Why not buy something that gets pretty good fuel instead of getting something that gets 10 to 12 miles a gallon?
The Explorers that we have, the prices on them now are about $36,000, and the trucks are the least expensive vehicle
What
that's
about a car?
outfitted. I'm sorry?
Just drive cars. What about a car?
There's several. Oh, well, the Fords are $30,000 as well in the cars, and they don't have the ground clearance to get up some of the driveways that are gravel that are eroded out, and you drag the bottom on those, and we've just had more success being able to get where we need to go in a utility vehicle or a truck.
Mr. Sammons, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir, that's fine, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else have any comment about this? I think if I remember correctly, we asked him to keep it below 40, and he's done that.
Yes, sir.
I make the motion that we approve the purchase of these vehicles.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to
I'll
be
second
clear, is there more than one at the same price? Are there two vehicles we're talking about, Sheriff?
No, sir. There was one approved for next year's budget. I'm just
correct.
asking
That's
for
what I
the one
thought.
spent this year. Yes, sir.
One vehicle for this FY.
Yes, sir.
We want to vote on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second by Ellis.
Motion made by Magistrate Gay and seconded by Ellis. Discussion about the vehicle in question for the Sheriff's Department. There being no discussion, we'll go around the room. Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short,
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen,
Yes.
Magistrate Kaywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis,
Yes.
Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
The motion to accept the bids as presented by the sheriff for the truck this fiscal year is passed. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff, will you be able to get that thing transferred? And I mean, it's for immediate release. You'll be able, so we can write that check before and have it approved before the end of the fiscal year.
They actually have these trucks on the lot right now. So there won't be a delay in manufacturing. That's the other issue is the Charger is the same price with all-wheel drive, but they don't have any of it would take 16 to 18 weeks for production, and they actually don't even have those on the line yet. So
you will be getting us an invoice or a bill of sale that can be paid on the 18th. Or no, we're going to maybe have a special meeting on the 29th, but let's talk about the 18th first. By the 18th.
I will email him today and see if I can get that today.
Thank you very
And
much.
to include the emergency equipment installation cost.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay? Very good. All right, thank you for that. Anything else, Sheriff?
No, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have Miss Angie in the solid waste recycling section.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How is everybody? All right, well, I guess we'll start where the agenda says to start. I've got a few extra things also. Back when we done the budget workshop, and Mary will remember this also, we had asked for a new copier up here at the Government Services Center. But we thought we were going to be fortunate enough that we had one in the basement there that belonged to the county clerk. And so we moved it up here, and Magistrate Short and Magistrate Sammons can testify it was in pretty rough shape as far as making copies. However, we did bring, I talked to the judge and Mary, and we got Danville office equipment here to look at it. And I think I sent the email to Mary and the judge both of what they had said. To fix this copier, a total cost estimate, we're looking at $1,600. They quit making the parts for this back in 2016. A new copier was $4,984.33, which $1,250 would come out of each budget. Mine, solid waste recycling, EMS, and public works. So I guess what I'm asking is, do we want to buy the new copier, or do we want to take a chance and pay $1,600 for something that we might not get?
And I didn't know I don't know what the specifications are of a new copier. Do you
Well,
all
we
need-
have the quote here that we had when we had met first.
I didn't get a copy of that quote when we met for the budget. So I don't think anybody has a copy of those specifications.
That will
Can
be
we
no
look at this
trouble.
at the next time?
We can.
Okay, good. Because I'd like to see it and kind of, because that's what we pay for a copier up here in the courthouse. It's kind of a beefy copier, it sounds like.
Well, actually, the price on it was like $10,800, and we had a discount of almost $5,900 on this. So, but no, we have the thing right here, Mary. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not a problem to put it off till the 18th, but
Well,
I
let's-
just couldn't see paying $1,600 to maybe fix something when we can get a new one for $4,900.
I don't think that's good money spent to repair that old discontinued copier.
Okay,
And
so
Jimmy
I'll
comes up-
do this
yeah.
on the 18th, and that way I'll get this stuff to you, everything, Mary, and.
Yeah,
it won't
thanks.
be-
And then the
okay,
magistrate can look at it as well, and we can.
Exactly. The bid
I'll
proposal.
pass it on to everybody. It's no problem.
Okay.
Okay, that does that. Thank you.
Presentation of stormwater protection plan.
All right, in your, this is sort of a long thing here, but I'm going to try to sum it up. I just got back, Judge, I haven't talked to you since I got these yesterday. We now officially are, we have stormwater KPDES permits for every convenience center. We had to apply for these. They're done. They're in the system. The groundwater protection plan was one that we approved last time to go with this. And now we had the stormwater protection plan that I hope I did okay. It was a feat, and it was very educational, seeing I've never really had to, fool with stormwater. Now this has come along. I need to bring this up, and I won't have, Mary, you really need to be on board with this, and hopefully by the 18th, I can give you a quote. Along with these permits come an expense. And sadly, I don't know what that expense is. I got a phone call in. Each convenience center will have to be tested twice a year. One time from January to June and one time from July to December. It'll have to be tested for flow, pH, TSS, which is total suspended solids, and grease and oil. So hopefully it won't, being twice a year, it won't kill us, but it's the law and it has to be done.
When would you know about the cost of those tests?
I have 2 calls. I got one into McCoy and McCoy Laboratory, and I got one into Fowler Laboratory. So I'm waiting to hear from them. And I thought I was going to actually have to do one before June 30th, but the lady who does the permits didn't make anything effective till July 1. So I'm getting out of this one. So sometime I'll have to, between July and December, have one done.
Angie, I had to move locations because my system wasn't working, but so this is the first time you're dealing with this? What brought this on?
Well, I am dealing with this. This is something that should have probably been done years and years ago when the convenience center started. What brought this on was lots of complaints, from false complaints from Alum Springs. False complaints that we were doing something when we weren't doing anything yet, but that's what you get when you bring the Division of Water in. And now that the Division of Water's here, we never will get rid of them. Sorry.
No.
True statement.
Yeah.
Well,
But
we're just going off.
it's been a costly thing. It's been a lot of time and effort. And, you know, rather this solid waste protection plan is everything we need. You know, I hope it is. I tried to be as minimal as I could because I don't want to, you know, do any more than what my men have to. You know, like I said, my men out there don't get paid enough anyway, but now this is responsibility that will be on them also, as much as it will me, because they're the ones that have to make sure they have the oil dry. They're the ones that have to make sure that there's not a lot of runoff so yeah, this is just, this has consumed 2 months of my work schedule.
I appreciate it. As I've told you in the past, I appreciate what you're doing.
You have.
And you know, maybe we should have done this a long time ago, but there's nothing like the present to get
Well, that's right. It was, like I said, it was something that it should have been done. You know, it's the law of, you know, the state, but we just always got around having to do it. And we're just one of the very few that have to do it in the state. And I know some that's getting away with it because they didn't have the Division of Water, you know, on their back.
Right.
Nothing.
Okay.
Do we have ballpark of how much this might be or no?
I don't. Like I said, I just got these permits in yesterday morning email, and I made the phone calls to the laboratories. So until I can't tell you what the price of them lab tests are, but luckily they'll only be twice a year. Of course, unless you get a problem and they catch you in something, then it might cost more, but yeah, Mary, I know, you know too, don't you? But I am doing the best I can.
Well, you absolutely are, Angie, and I thank you, Angela.
Let me ask, so if we don't pass, what happens?
Oh, you're
Like,
fine.
Nothing. It's a plan that needs to be in place. I already applied for the permits.
Yeah.
You know, that was the main thing, was to apply for the permits. I've got the permits, just got them yesterday. You know, it's basically all that plan is that we're going to take care of business. We're not going to destroy the water. If the equipment leaks hydraulic fluid, they're going to use oil dry. You know, that's the practice anyway. We're already doing what we're supposed to be doing anyway. This is just
Are there fines involved? Are there?
Yes. There'll always be fines involved if you don't take
If we're not compliant, there might be fines involved. Yes.
But we'll always be compliant. I mean, I've
I know.
worked with the Division of Water, Division of Waste. I don't have a problem working with any of them. It's just a matter of working with them.
I know you're committed to keeping the waters clean. I understand that. I'm just trying to think,
Absolutely.
as people, as a
And I don't
person that
really
has
think we've
a-
ever had a problem out of the convenience centers, never that I know of. But it's always that thing, you have to have it in writing and be on file.
Okay, sorry.
Now it's taken care of, so. And we'll continue to take care of it. Like I said, if a problem comes up, I'll take care of it.
Okay, next.
I like to have approval that, you have seen it and it looks good to you, and that's basically all I need.
Gabe will make that, Gabe will make that motion.
Ellis, yes, go ahead.
Yes, I assume since we only have the paperwork on Ghost Pike, that you have paperwork, or you will have paperwork on each and every one.
I'm sorry, I should have addressed that. They're all the same, Tom. They're
That's
all
what
the
I think.
same except the name on the top. I do have each one of them, but I tried to save paper and time.
Just save paper. She
I
gave you
assumed that.
Same
Thank you.
plan, it's just got the different name on each one of them.
Yeah, it's just a
Appreciate it. Thanks.
representative sample of all of them.
No problem. Sorry, I should have addressed that.
Well, the thing that threw me was the map that didn't include the outlying areas. So now I understand fully. Thank you.
If you
Okay,
want to
Matt.
see them all, I got the maps up here. You can stop by and see them anytime.
Thank you very much.
Magistrate Gay,
I just was going to make the motion that we accept the stormwater pollution prevention plan as presented.
I don't think that's necessary. I don't think we need a motion.
Is somebody
Well,
gonna sign?
I'd like to have the motion just to, know that the fiscal court is aware that we're supposed to have this and we've done this.
The judge is gonna sign it as well.
yeah, since
I'll
I've
second.
signed it, I
We
would
had to sign
appreciate
off on the permit, so.
court permission to sign.
And that can be part of the motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
I'm sorry, who seconded that?
Short.
Magistrate Short, okay, Magistrate Gay made the motion, Magistrate Short seconded. Now we can open it for discussion. You don't think we need to, Phil?
I don't see why we would. It's just something that she's supposed to do. And, looks to me like, by her doing it and, you being our executive in charge, that it would probably require your signature, but I don't see why a motion be necessary, but I'll vote for it if so
Okay.
be.
Well, I don't disagree with your statement, but this verifies that we've all seen it, we know about it, and that we agree with the protection plan and the work that Ms. Muncy has done. And so, this is an inclusive moment rather than an exclusive moment. So I appreciate your statement, but if you don't mind, we have a motion and we'll move forward and go around the room. Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short,
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen.
Yes.
All right. Magistrate Kaywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis,
Yes.
and Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
Thank you, one and all, for that vote. I appreciate that. Miss Angie, we acknowledge receipt and approve of the stormwater pollution prevention
Thank you.
plan.
Thank you. I need to skip in before I do the personnel stuff. I had to come down the other day and have Judge Hunt sign the 1920-1921 waste tire agreement grant.
100 years ago.
Pardon?
1920?
The year 2019, 2020.
2021.
Thank you.
Anyway,
He's making it funny, Angela.
I know that's all right. Long as you're bothering me, you're leaving some poor old soul alone. So anyway, this is a $4,000 grant that we get every year through the waste tire. And of course, it's set on my desk under some papers, and I got all involved in this stormwater, groundwater, and all this stuff, and almost forgot it. I found it, so I had to do the rush to get the judge to sign it, but we need to go back and actually have approval that he did sign it. Does that make sense? Sorry.
Yes, yes,
It was a grant application that we have routinely applied for each and every year.
Yeah, we get it every
So
year.
So move, Kaywood.
Magistrate Kaywood makes a motion to approve the tire grant.
I'll second it, Sammons.
Magistrate Sammons seconds that motion. Discussion about the grant application. All right, go around the room. Magistrate Gay. You mic'd off.
Yes.
All right, good. Magistrate Short, thank you.
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen,
Yes.
thank you. Magistrate Kaywood,
Yes.
thank you. Magistrate Ellis,
Yes.
thank you. And Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen, one and all. Appreciate that. Angie, what else you got? You got some personnel stuff.
Yeah, we got
Can I just-
personnel.
Miss Muncy, will you make sure I get a copy of that signed agreement so I can put it in the grant
Absolutely.
file for the auditor?
Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely,
you.
I will, Mary. Okay,
That's sitting in the parking lot.
I had asked to, I talked to, Magistrate Short and Magistrate Sammons about doing some hiring. I had an employee have a stroke here on the job, a mild stroke. Luckily he's back, came back today, so he's doing well. But I've been short, I have not had a floater. So, I got men wanting to take off and people sick but anyway, I have hired one floater and I was going to advertise for another, but I went through applications and I actually have found another person. So I have them training. One of them is Samuel Edmiston, and he is from Perryville. And I have recently started, she's starting tomorrow. Training is Geneva Hogue from Parksville.
And she would be your floater and you're proposing
They're both floaters, yes. But you know, we have discussed my recycling manager will be leaving in November. So I know this will be a personnel issue that we'll have to discuss at some point. Probably won't be for public till we're ready, but I'll have to try to hopefully replace him. And maybe with one of these, I don't know, it's something to be discussed, or, I'm going to try to be, budget friendly with it and, things like that. But for now, I need these two to be floaters and part-time.
I make a motion, Sammons makes a motion, we hire both floaters.
Ellis seconds.
All right, motion made by Magistrate Sammons and seconded by Magistrate Ellis to approve the recommendation to hire both floaters. Discussion on the motion. Done being, we'll go around the room to vote. Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short,
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen. Yes, thumbs up. Magistrate Kaywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis,
Yes.
Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
All right, appreciate your vote, gentlemen. There's that, one of those, well, you both by name. Now, next is the advertised for full-time solid waste position. Let's talk about that one, Director Muncy.
Okay. I think, Judge, right now we can hold off on that.
Okay,
If with the two floaters, they've got, their hours they can work, and I think closer to time is something that you and I can discuss about the full-time position and then bring it back to the court.
that suits me. Does that suit the court's desire?
Judge,
Thank you.
Judge, Judge,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
and the only question I have is, to Ms. Muncy, the fact that we have, a gentleman been with us a long time, and I understand he's going to retire this fall. And, he's gonna be, anybody can be replaced, but he's been very valuable, and I think we need to really be looking for someone right away to fulfill his shoes.
That's what I'm working on doing, Magistrate Sammons.
I appreciate the director being, leaning pretty far forward and looking at this now rather than 30 days out from retirement. So this is a good discussion to have right now. And I applaud
Right.
her and, what you just said, Magistrate Sammons.
Do you think we need to probably, have a personnel meeting on this too?
Yes, please. I do have a suggestion and a plan, but like I said, until I discuss it with the judge and the personnel committee and, Mary involved with her numbers, I'd rather not, speak of it at the, during a meeting right now until it's time.
So let's start with the personnel committee and then the committee can bring it to Treasurer Conley and myself along with you, Director. Okay?
That'll
Yeah,
be fine.
is that all right with you?
Oh, that's fine. Yes.
Mr. Kaywood, is that all right with you?
Yes.
All right.
The solid waste committee would like to be informed on that when that decision has been made.
Absolutely.
I think that's a natural given.
It is.
All right. Any other discussion? We'll move along. Is there anything else, Director Muncy?
That's it. I appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you.
We appreciate
day.
your time.
Appreciate your service.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next, looks like it's County Treasurer time. There we go.
So it looks like the first thing on the agenda, I have prepared and circulated the Commonwealth of Kentucky's Court of Justice Facilities reimbursement form and agreement. And as I prepared the budget for the facilities for the Court of Justice, I'm agreeable to the amounts that are listed in under section 4 under their regular operating cost estimate. I guess you can see my check marks in those areas. Bringing to the attention of the fiscal court that section 2 on the use allowance that during the last legislative session, that those of us who have court facilities in their courthouses, the total use allowance was reduced by 50%, which is $16,283.50 to our taxpayers, that they will not be reimbursing us this year and for coming years. So after it's all said and done, under section 5, it's a summary of their reimbursement for next year, contingent upon the 2020 audit that is performed out of the county treasurer's office with the Court of Justice. They come in and they audit our financial statements and they adjust the reimbursement either up or down depending upon the prior year's actual expenditures. And it looks like this year's expenditures are real close to what we budgeted. It's an estimate of $100,413.50. And I verified that this does include the work that the Public Works Department employees are doing as part of county facilities. About 3 years ago, I felt like it was important that the Public Works employees' time as they repair the roof or they maybe take care of a small plumbing problem up there, et cetera, instead of us hiring somebody to come in to do it and get reimbursed for a contractor's expense or billing, that they should be paying us a portion of the work that's done by our own employees, since they are not being paid by the Court of Justice. So those figures are also included in last year's audit and the prior year's audit, as well as this year's reimbursement form. So if you all could consider approving this, the judge can sign it and we can get it up to the administrative office of the courts. Included in that, I don't know if you noticed, Dwayne and I put together the non-recurring expense planning tool for the administrative offices of the courts. And what this does is it notifies them of our projects that are anticipated that we may be considering through the next 6 months to 2 years in operations. And you can see we've listed second floor storm windows, to renovate the first floor public restrooms. That would be 1 men's and 1 women's restroom. The courthouse brick entrance, and that's the project for the brickwork at the public entrance of the courthouse. And the parking lot to be repaved, and that would be asphalt that would abut the current new asphalt that has been laid in conjunction with a water leak in the last couple of months. And then there's courthouse brick tuck pointing for an area of 20 feet wide and 2 stories tall, because we have some rainwater permeating the brick on the courthouse, and we're experiencing some interior wall moisture, and that's something that needs to be rectified as well. So this is our planning tool, and if you all could also include that, that you support those projects, because the most of them are in your budget, so obviously you do support them, we can move forward with our budget.
Everybody clear on what they have before them? Entertain a motion to approve the court facilities local government reimbursement form as presented by the treasurer, and to include the procedures for operation and maintenance of judicial facilities for the next 24 months.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Magistrate Short. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Motion seconded by Magistrate Cullen. Discussion, please. Is there no discussion? We'll go around the room with a vote. Magistrate Getty,
Yes.
Magistrate Short,
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen,
Yes.
Magistrate Kaywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis,
Yes.
and Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you for that. Treasurer Conley.
So I believe you received a copy, and the letter was dated January 27, 2020. And it's a letter from the administrative office of the courts, and it was a letter pertaining to and attached with the June 30th, 2019 fiscal year audit for the total building space that the court occupies, and the utilities, janitorial services and supplies, the insurance, maintenance and repairs for that area. And from what was estimated to the actual cost, as you can see, they're listed under the actual cost, which they also listed the estimated cost. You can see that there was a $4,000 differential, $4,053. And they have just recently adjusted the last payment to the Boyle County Fiscal Court in our last quarterly payment from the administrative office of the courts that was received this past month. So I just wanted I wanted to circulate and let you see just exactly what our audit looked like. And I present these every time they do an audit. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to entertain any of those. Okay.
Is this just to acknowledge the receipt that they've concluded their adjustments on our audit?
Yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right, thank you. All right.
And the next thing that is on our agenda is the agreement between the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet with regard to the trails grant that we are administering. And I believe we have Mr. Mark Morgan and Miss Jennifer Kirshner and Dwayne here that's going to talk to you. I think most of you are aware of the Trails project, but we have done the design phase and we have moved into the construction phase. So after they visit with you, I will be looking forward to a possible approval to this agreement for the next phase. So, yeah.
Judge, if I may interrupt, Mary, am I correct? The only thing that needs is your signature, sir, I believe, and I make that motion that we authorize you to approve that and move right along.
Actually, this is agreement for the county judge executive, and he's going to have, I don't have any authority to sign an agreement on behalf of the fiscal court for.
The only approval we need is the judge's signature, the way I think, the way I understand that.
I'll second that motion. Gay will second that motion.
All right, there's a motion for me to accept signing the Trails grant application. And I know I see Mr. Morgan online and Mr. Kirshner online. It's made a motion for me to sign the grant and Magistrate Gay. Is there any discussion on this by anybody?
Yeah, Judge, Magistrate Ellis here. I was pleased to get a phone call from Mark Morgan, and I'm very supportive of this. And I want to make sure that everyone is aware that we've actually met out in the Perryville area on trails with the battlefield director, with the folks from Main Street Perryville, and Congressman Guthrie's folks. And we hope that we will be expanding trails out that way too. And I know, Mark, you have a long history out living in the Perryville and Forkland area. So I hope we can get your support in the future.
Thank you for that, Tom. It's a great effort and we support it. Our Trails Alliance has also met with some of those people and we look forward to coordinating with you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Kirshner, do you have any comments you'd like to make? Because it sounds like the court is fully supportive of the TAP grant process.
I would just note that we're nearing completion and it's been a learning process. Couldn't have done it without Mary and Dwayne. They've been very patient with Mark and I as we go. And I just wanted to provide you with the background documents so you could see, and I don't want to take up any time, but also happy to answer any questions now, or just if you want to meet out at the site and I could give you a tour, Mark and I, and show you what we're doing. I'd be happy to do that too.
I think that's excellent. And hopefully, collectively as a body, myself included, the court can take full advantage of these trails and maybe have a opportunity for us to all be out there simultaneously and know more about the trail and the purpose and experience it personally for ourselves.
Thank you.
We should set that date in the future and have Ms. Kirshner and Mr. Morgan out there with us and others, because I think that this is a great opportunity for the county to show off some of our better side.
Thank you.
The only thing I want to add, I want to make sure that you, in all of the good information that Jennifer sent to each and every one of you, there's an addendum B that's a maintenance plan that I think is real important for you all to understand, because it affects your budget annually going forward. It's not in this fiscal year's budget, but it should be included in next fiscal year's budget. But There's going to be a maintenance fund established in the amount of $3,000 to take care of any future repairs to the asphalt of this trail. So is there any questions about any of that for those of you who are kind of new on board with all of this?
Mary, do you want me to summarize that just a bit more?
I would like for you to, please. Yes, so they're all in.
Very briefly, we came before the fiscal court in July 2016 with an eye towards the future, and it was determined then, with the help of Dwayne Campbell and others, that there would be a 15 to 20-year lifespan on the asphalt itself. When cost estimates were developed by the engineers, then we determined the maximum cost would be $35,000. The court then took action to authorize an expenditure, a line item that would be held and in a responsible way until such time as it's needed. And that was amortized over the 15 to 20 years in the amount of $3,000 per year. The adjacent mowing is the responsibility of the Kentucky Department of Transportation. They have transferred in an informal memorandum of agreement to the city of Danville to maintain the mowing on the existing part of this trail on 2168 from the roundabout in an eastward direction out to Lexington. And that is working well. The KDOT is maintaining the mowing outside of those initial two passes that keeps the grass maintained right next to the trail. But the $3,000 line item is a very forward-thinking action that the court took in July 2016 to ensure that this section of the trail will be maintained. Thank you.
So Mary, this $3,000 line item for maintenance is in the budget for next year?
No, we're going to start adding that the following year, come 21, 22.
21, 22? Okay.
We have to finish the trail first.
All right.
I would just add too that we're working closely with Parks and Rec. So whatever the city and the county and Parks and Rec have going on, we will fit into however that plays out too. So I just wanted to acknowledge that we were aware of those moving parts and are agreeable to whatever outcome.
Okay. All
To
right.
Mark and Jennifer, this is Kaywood here. To Mark and Jennifer, thank you for your years of work on this project.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other comments or questions before we take the vote? All right, we'll vote on the motion to approve the signature of continuance on the TAP grant by the judge executive. If I'm restating it accurately, it's in the record, the motion made and seconded. We'll go around the room. If there's no further discussion, I see the county attorney. You have any comment, Mr. Herron?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short,
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen.
Yes.
All right, Magistrate Kaywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis,
Yes.
and Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
All right, appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Morgan.
you all.
Mercer,
Thank
you
you
so
all.
much.
Okay, I'm signing off. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. All
Thanks,
right,
Mark.
thank you both.
All
Mary?
right. So moving forward, we have your April financial statements. Unless somebody has questions about them, you can come visit with me. We're moving into May, and May will be presented at your next fiscal court meeting. And there's no approval, just acknowledge that I submitted those is all that's required. Then we have the Constitution Square quarterly endowment statement. And actually there's two statements here, and one is for the agency fund, which took a pretty good hit last quarter. I don't know if you noticed that, but it's a hit of $67,145. There is in that, and that's the first page of 2 that I circulated to you. There's a total of $35,122 in that actual grant account. And the principal amount of this is what I call principal is $290,116. So that's in addition to the grant portion of this fund. Are there any questions about the agency fund? This is the fund that the fiscal court invests in that we gave. I'm trying to think. I believe our seed money was $150,000. I can't remember specifically, but I believe that's what it was. And then we've grown it from there with contributions from the Industrial Foundation that are funneled in through the Boyle County Fiscal Court to the fund. Constitution Square is a giving partner as well. So
the question I've got on the interest and dividends earnings that we lost in March, apparently that doesn't have anything to do with the stock market fluctuation.
Oh yeah. They have investments of their own, and I think they have criteria. Well, I know they have criteria of assets that they are able to invest our money into.
So at the peak variance of its loss, and I'm not a big market watcher, but apparently it got down significantly a loss there from its high point, but it's very near getting back to where it was. So we should be starting to recover some of that loss.
Yes, absolutely. And June will when we get those quarterly statements in, I think we'll be pleasantly surprised about how we've been able to rebound. The market's been helpful in that area. So, but that doesn't affect the amount of money that, well, it does to a certain extent because it's a certain percentage of what's in the agency fund is what is granted to the fiscal court's grant, the amounts available for grant. So it may be a little, as you can see, it was in December, we were given $4,068 and it's gone down to $791. So June will probably balance us out. So there's your agency fund. And if there's no more questions on that, if you turn your page, you've got your dedicated fund. And this is the Friends of Constitution Square Fund, where I myself, and we're nearing the end of June 30th. And I believe that's the Department of Revenue's cutoff date, where there are funds available that if you want to contribute to the dedicated fund, I, as an individual and a taxpayer, can fill out an application with the Department of Revenue, and they can offer a tax credit. And when I contribute to, but I have to get affirmation back from, or a response back from the Department of Revenue giving me that tax credit. And then from there, once I get that authorization, I can donate. Not only do I get the deduction of the donation, but I also get the tax credit that's equal to everybody across the board. So it's not based off of your, percentage of taxation. It's pretty much dollar for dollar. So as we move forward, I again this week talked to the bluegrass or I'm trying to think of the name of them, the bluegrass endowment group, but they're going to come before, once the committee for Constitution Square can meet again, they're going to come before them and the fiscal court and do an education session on both of these funds to help you better understand. And I could probably do the training session as well, but I think they probably would enjoy coming down and visiting with you to do that training session. So, and lastly, there's no grant money in this second, the Friends of Constitution Square Fund, because the seed money or the initial contribution money has got to get to $25,000 before there's anything moved into the grant, the amounts available for grant. So right now I'm just showing a disbursement in the grant area because CFL fees have to be paid to administer the grant fund, as well as, excuse me, there's a cost to administer the principal portion as well. So does anybody have any questions about that?
Mary, do we have any, are we anticipating anybody making contributions to Constitution Square?
Nobody's notified my office.
Did the foundation, or was it EDP that contributed? It seemed like
It was the Industrial Foundation and Convention and Visitors Bureau. The Convention and Visitors Bureau has donated 2 different years, and the Industrial Foundation donated $10,000 a year for a period of 5 years. But that was not to the Friends of Constitution. That was for the agency fund, which is funneled in. The only person that can give a contribution to the agency fund is the Boyle County Fiscal Court.
Okay. The Friends, just for those around the table, the Friends is something that I think we really need to focus on. And I hope that the committee will have some input and find some ways to make more people a part of Constitution Square.
I like that. I agree.
Yeah, and one of the things I was going to take the time to do, but unfortunately I have very limited time anymore. I think it's important that somebody visits with our local financial advisors and brokers in our community to make sure and give them a packet to make sure that they understand what we're doing. So when they have clients come in who are looking for options of investing, that, we're on the table and they understand that the Department of Revenue is still offering a tax credit for applying for, if you apply for the tax credit, for every donation given. And that fund, I believe, runs out June 30th, but I believe it's been renewed for the next fiscal year. I'm not absolutely sure, but I'm almost positive that that's still available. I believe I saw some correspondence with that with respect to that. Yes.
Judge, you might pass that on to the committee for their input.
I will, absolutely, Magistrate Kaywood. Sounds like a good plan, something that they should all consider and move forward on.
Well, if I think everybody wants to build on Constitution Square, and certainly the historical part that it brings to the county, but we got to get it ready, and it takes planning, and that's why that committee was put together. So.
Absolutely. I will discuss that with the committee.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, what else, Treasurer Conlon?
That's all I have, and thank you for listening.
All right, good presentation. We can go around under new business, and we'll go around the room. Magistrate Gay.
I was going to say, did Shannon have something she put on the agenda that needed to be discussed before, or is that going to wait?
We can do that in reference to an ESCO
yes.
contract. Yes. You want to discuss that now? We can. If that's what you want to talk about.
I was just going to yield to Shannon there if she needed to discuss that.
Yeah, Shannon, go ahead, please.
I've sent an agreement with NESCO to you all to look through and approve. We're having some trouble getting some applications of qualified candidates for the finance officer. And NESCO could possibly help us with that. We have to have an agreement signed before we can do anything.
And for all of those who are listening, it's called a finance officer, but I know a lot of people listen to, and when we title it finance officer, That's what the Commonwealth or the Department for Local Government terms this position. But it is an individual that is an accounts payable person who's going to be responsible for helping department heads procure, to do accounts payable, and to keep track of inventory. And those are the three main basic duties of this position. So just to clarify, thank you.
And the purpose of this agreement is for them to assist us in finding acceptable qualified applicants for positions. But there is, the reason for the agreement, there is a finder's fee associated with that process. And that's something that we are approving in advance to agree to that finder's fee should we permanently decide to obtain the services of provided applicants.
Judge Tom Ellis here. I'd like to question our CAECO leader on the executive committee on the board of CAECO, Magistrate Sammons. It's my understanding that this is also a function where we're paying dues to CAECO where they might be able to help us without expending taxpayer dollars. Am I correct on that?
No.
Well, it'd be worth checking out. I'm not sure that they would be, but I assume they could be.
Should we defer this until that special meeting on the 18th?
No, not really. We've actually worked with CAECO in the past. Within the last 12 months, we've worked with CAECO, and they've allowed us to post positions on their website, as well as who else did we did SHRM, and we've done
League of Cities.
League of Cities.
But that's all they do. They don't go out and recruit.
No, they
don't
do
have
not.
a recruiting. They don't have an applicant pool to draw.
Okay. Okay.
And I remember that from the HR director over there at CAECO. They don't have a pool. We did the same thing that they're basically asking the court to approve today.
This doesn't get used unless they submit somebody that we take. Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct. That's correct.
So there's no charges. There's no charges. They don't get anything unless they produce.
Right.
Right.
And if there's an individual, as you can see on that last page, if there's an individual that's questionable, we can bring them in, and which I think is a real reasonable fee. I don't know if you looked at that, the fee chart or the addendum there, but there's a 42% markup on the hourly rate that we have assigned to that position. And the 42% is less than what we're probably paying with retirement and Social Security and all the benefits, the health insurance, et cetera, for each and every employee. So even if we bring somebody on for 3 months and we don't like them and send them back, what we're paying them is a reasonable fee compared to what we would pay if we were to hire an individual, and we have a little security and if they don't work out, that we can send them back.
Thank you, Mary.
This is a very important position we're looking at, folks.
All right. Any other comments or discussions on, do we have a motion on this?
I'll make the motion. Gail make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, and that was made by Magistrate Gay to accept the agreement of temporary personnel services with UNESCO, and seconded by Magistrate Kaywood. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Now we can discuss it further. There being none, we'll go around the room. Magistrate Gay, your vote?
Yes.
Magistrate Short?
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen?
Yes.
Magistrate Kaywood?
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis?
Yes.
Magistrate Sammons?
Yes.
All right, it passes unanimously. Thank you for your vote. Shannon, anything else? All right, thank you. All right, back to you, Magistrate Gay. Anything else on your time?
No, sir. Other than my reminder about the census 2020, I know reminders, if you haven't done your census, are starting to hit the doors now. So encourage everyone to do their part before somebody starts knocking on your door.
Sounds good. All right, Magistrate Short.
Just one thing. I talked to my pastor the other day about maybe the fiscal court going to our fellowship hall here in Danville for our next court meeting. And I think if we could make it work, I think it'd be good if we could get back together. So what do you think?
Well, I would have to ask that our IT director make an assessment of the capability to conduct this business.
I talked to him about that, and he said just, he could come down and look at the facility. We got high-speed internet there. And so I'll be glad to take him down there and let him look at it and see if it's feasible. But it's there if we want to use it.
All right, I appreciate the offer. I will ask that Bill accompany you down there and meet with your pastor and everybody necessary. I'm open to that suggestion, but I think in the shortness or duration, today's the 9th, we're meeting 9 more days. I'll leave it up to whether or not that we circulate doing this again on the 18th. And if not, then everybody will know where it needs to be.
That's all I had.
All right, thank you. All right. Magistrate Cullen.
Yes, thank you. Number one, John and I had a really good conversation this morning with our EMS. They're, as always, working very hard. One thing that was brought up was, I believe last meeting we talked about the extra amount of money that this new collector has brought in for us. And we all got really excited, but we failed to remember the hard work from those in EMS that have put in the long hours to make those things possible, making sure that they're putting in the right information to make it easier for our service to actually collect those funds. So I'd like to thank EMS for all their hard work and doing their part to help make sure it's easier for the funds to be collected. Second, wanted to go ahead and see about getting a motion to allow Magistrate Short to speak with the city of Junction City about finding a place for the park equipment that Dwayne has just sitting boxed in his facility. I don't know how you want to handle that, sir, but I think that we've kind of come to the idea that big structure really Junction has the space for it. So I'd like to see if we can go ahead and let Magistrate Short start working on that.
Especially since they're playing baseball.
Excuse me, go ahead, Mary.
Especially since they're going to be playing baseball over there.
Yeah.
Is there a motion? There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second to the motion that?
I'll second Magistrate Cullen's motion.
All right, it's been seconded by Magistrate Gay, and that motion is to allow Magistrate Short to discuss with the city of Junction the appropriate location for said stored playground equipment. Does that correctly state that motion, Magistrate Cullen?
Yep.
All right, discussion, please.
Yes, Judge. Magistrate Ellis here. We had brought this up in the previous meetings, I think 2 different meetings, it's in the minutes, where we might be able to share not only that new equipment, but the equipment that might be moved from White's Park. And that was going to be part of my discussion on when we come to my new business, because there is profound interest in both Forkland and Perryville. We used to even have county parks in Parksville and Mitchellsburg, but we've got manpower and the ability to work with the equipment from either White's Park or the new equipment or both. So I'm concerned that since we've discussed it twice before in our meetings, that it not be limited to just Junction City.
Well, the new equipment can't be broken apart. It's all assembled for like one structure. So the new equipment has to go one place. White's Park stuff, if you want to, find some stuff for the White's Park, that's fine. But I think the issue that we have with in the first district is there's really not an area that the county owns that it can be placed.
Well, there is area that the county owns, but if it cannot be broken apart, I understand that, and I'll withdraw my comment as long as we can work with the folks on the White's Park equipment.
I fully support that, Tom.
I am fully supportive of White's Park playground equipment being dismantled and relocated to a more useful location.
Thank you, Judge.
Any more discussion on the motion as presented? All right. I'll go room and vote. Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short,
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen,
Yes.
Magistrate Kaywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis,
Yes.
Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
That motion to move the playground, the boxed playground equipment that is one piece or contiguous assemblage to Junction City, that we allow Magistrate Short to find the appropriate location for that there.
If we
I
can
would
get Dwayne to accompany him as well, that would be great.
Dwayne would accompany him on that as well, because he has the equipment in storage. I would like to entertain a motion that we dismantle the playground equipment at White's Park and find another location suitable for reinstallation and on county-owned property somewhere in the county.
I'll make that. I was going to say, I'll make that motion. I also wanted to add, if I could, well, go ahead. I'll make that motion. I'll comment after we get it.
I'll second it.
Is there a second to that, Magistrate
I'll
Cullen?
second it. Yeah.
All right. Any discussion on that motion?
I was just going to suggest that both with the first thing in Junction City we just did and with this, that we of course work with our Director of Parks and Rec, John Bell, and making sure that we have the appropriate base and other things for ADA, safety, compliance, all those things are in place as we, when we locate this equipment.
That would be a recommendation that I would hope that the responsible parties, in this case, Magistrate Short and Dwayne, would undertake in their due diligence of appropriating the appropriate location, as well as what magistrate takes the lead on the balance of equipment that would be dismantled from White's Park.
Judge, I would like to see if we can consider an amendment to your exact language, because we did once have county-owned properties in all four of the areas that I mentioned, but there could be a more suitable site that may not be actually in the county's land ownership now. If we could say county-owned or other appropriate land where the citizens and constituents would have free access to the park equipment, then I think it would be much more conducive to finding areas. For example, I don't know that anything at Forkland is owned by the county. That's just one example. And they have vast space and need out there. And I believe that would be possible even in Perryville. You'll remember just a year ago, we deaccessioned that couple of acres at the corner just across the bridge on the southwest corner. There have been land transfers that could preclude Perryville and Forkland, for example, where there are good populations in need. If we could amend that to say, or other appropriate land.
I'm agreeable to that, but that amendment needs to include, if it is on non-county owned property, that the owners of the property assume maintenance
and liability.
liability for said equipment.
Well, and allow people to be on it during normal park hours. That's the only, that'd be the only issue, is that we essentially would be giving people county equipment to put on their land, and then they could, by some sort, not allow people to utilize it. So
make sure to write that in.
I think the court needs to approve anything other than non-county location. Okay?
Yes.
We can open up by amendment to the motion, non-county owned property under the advisement and approval by the fiscal court.
Excellent. Thank you, Judge.
Any further discussion? All over, we're around the room. Magistrate Gay, your vote.
Yes.
Magistrate Short, your vote.
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen, your vote.
Yes.
Magistrate Kaywood, your vote.
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis, your vote.
Yes.
And Magistrate Sammons, your vote.
Yes.
All right, that motion to authorize the removal and relocation of Whites Park playground equipment as amended to include non-county, but based on the approval of the court, should that come to that point. All right, that is passed. Next, let's see, who's next on the, are you still talking, Magistrate Cullen?
Still me, yep. Wanted to talk about, I brought it up earlier, giving CASA some money from the, especially since we have that money in there. So I looked at our appropriations sheet, and I had a couple different ones I wanted to look at here. So take CASA from 0 to 4,000. I think we take the senior center down to 65 from 67.5. Arts Commission, we raise them up to $1,000. Doesn't make a lot of sense to fund the Arts Center, but not the Arts Commission. I think Mimi does a great job with what she does, and I would hate for the county not to be a part of it. And then speaking of the Arts Center, the Bluegrass, after looking at the budgets and the packets that were submitted in Mary's office, I think it'd be appropriate to take down the Arts Center of the Bluegrass to 10,000 as they have the funds available for that, and that would help kind of offset adding to CASA while still receiving the money from Chris.
I would just want to caution you that CASA submitted a $4,000 request, but they've only been getting $3,000 in our prior years. So if you award them more than what we've given in the prior years, then you're doing something different than what you've done with the rest of them. So I'm just saying that. Thank you.
Okay, my only thought of going to 4, and we can go to 3, that's fine. But with COVID, more kids have been home. Domestic abuse is on the rise. And so they're working harder. They've also lost fundraising opportunities. And so protecting the youth out there that are in the most vulnerable situations, I think is pretty important. So, you know, if we want to do 3,000, I mean, I'll write them a check for 1,000. I don't care. But
I'm just clarifying what we did in the past.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, they've been good. I mean, looking across here, the others have requested. I see, but I don't see a problem if they've requested 4. I think there's a need for 4, and I think that we can help protect those kids. I don't know if Chris wants to add anything to that.
Better hope school goes.
Ellis here. I would like to support not only what Magistrate Cullen has just said for the 4,000, but also what we heard from our county attorney, Chris Herron, earlier about his many years involvement with CASA and what he has seen in the court process and personally as well. Having been in healthcare all those years, I know the acute level that has escalated through the decades. And as Magistrate Cullen said, there is no question that the circumstances of being sequestered month after month have really exacerbated the circumstance with a lot of children. So I would go with Magistrate Cullen on this.
All right, let's do this, gentlemen. Magistrate Cullen made several recommended changes to the appropriations, and we're gonna go through them one by one like we did previously. And I'm gonna state for the record, we'll go vote by name. And the first one that I recall is he made the what is your recommendation?
4,000 for CASA.
How much, 4,000?
4,000, sir.
The recommendation to change the appropriations allocations is 4,000 for CASA of the Bluegrass. Discussion? We'll go around the room.
Just to be sure I'm on the same page.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
3,000 of that 4 is the money that Chris brought in.
Well, that's not yet been, Chris, he supported, the full funding, if I'm not mistaken, the 4,000 for CASA based on his, statements earlier. I don't want to speak for him. He's online.
Right. Yes. I mean, I can't tell you how to spend the money I gave you. You know, I can just say what's near and dear to my heart, and CASA definitely is an organization that I've supported throughout my career, and I've just seen how they help people. And I wish I had a case yesterday. I was in court till about 7:45 last night, and I wish it was confidential though, so I can't tell you exactly what happened, but it just made me think how much this little girl that testified yesterday, how important it would be for her to have a CASA worker working with her. I mean, there's things that these children are seeing, things that are going on now with the COVID. It's just like Jason said, there's a lot more domestic violence in the homes and neglect. I just feel that we should give CASA what they ask for, and they'll use that money, and it's going to benefit many children. It's going to benefit being able to train volunteers to be that voice for the children that they need, that they don't have. So,
Chris,
I'll leave
I
it at
don't
that.
doubt it. I don't doubt it. Don't say it. When I reviewed after our meeting, CASA is the one that I thought I really messed up on. So I'm glad this is where we are. I just wanted to be sure that I know exactly what we're talking about. So no, I support CASA. No doubt about it. So you answered my question. Thank you, sir.
After doing some research on CASA, most fiscal courts across the county support them a lot more than we do. Our CASA chapter here is very conservative about what they ask from us. A lot of others, you know, they're 2, 3, 4 times the amount that we're giving. They usually will get, you know, rent paid or whatever. So our chapter here is pretty conservative. So even though they have asked for $1,000 more, I think that we need to help these children.
The motion, there is no motion. The recommendation for the court to consider is to adjusting the cost of the Bluegrass appropriation from previously 0 to $4,000. That's what we have to consider before us. So I will go around the room and get a vote. Magistrate Gay.
Yes.
Magistrate Short.
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen.
Yes.
Magistrate Kaywood.
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis.
Yes.
And Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. The next item to be discussed and voted on.
Senior Center. I thought it'd be appropriate to kind of bring them down to 65.
I would recommend that we leave them where they are. I feel like we adjusted this one and compromised last time. And as I stated before, the work that they do in feeding our seniors is critically important. So I would recommend we leave them where they are.
I agree.
Other
I
discussion?
agree. In fact, my motion last time was at 70, so I had to give in a little bit to go to the 67.5.
Well, Magistrate Cullen has brought it to our attention. He's recommended 65, so we'll go around the room and vote on that.
And these recommendations are based on the financials provided. I hope everyone took a chance to look at them, look and see what these organizations have submitted as what they have in their accounts and their expenses. So it's really my hope that everyone's taking advantage of that and looking at it. I've looked at it twice now, so.
I hope everybody's looked at it as they should have. So we'll go around the room and vote on 65 for senior citizens. Magistrate Gay,
No.
Magistrate Short.
Yes.
Okay, Magistrate Cullen,
Yes.
Magistrate Kaywood,
No.
a Magistrate Ellis,
No.
Magistrate Sammons.
No.
Gentlemen, I have 4-2 in the negative. By vote.
So I would just recommend we leave that alone, leave that the same where it is.
Okay. Next one I had was Arts Commission. They asked for 2,000. We've given them 2,000. I say we should look at giving them 1,000.
I'm in favor of that. And if I could add on that, I think I agree with his point about taking 2,000 away from the Arts Center. And I would recommend we give 1,000 to the Arts Commission. And I would like to give the other 1,000 to Family Services and make them whole at 19,000. Because
Okay.
I think
we're kind of.
and that's all. Those are the only adjustments I would make at this point in time.
All right. We're gonna make a statement that we adjust the Art Center's budget down by $2,000. That's my understanding, with 1,000 going to the Arts Commission and 1,000 going to
Family Services.
Family Services. Is that a clear statement?
Yes.
Discussion on that, gentlemen. There being no discussion, we'll go around the room and vote on that proposal. Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short,
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen,
Yes.
Magistrate Kaywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis,
Yes.
Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. That motion passes unanimously.
So just to remind everyone, the Arts Center, the Arts Commission does a lot of work with youth as well. And so, again, I appreciate you guys supporting them. And so we took care of Arts Center of the Bluegrass too?
Yes, we
Yes,
did.
they've been reduced to 10, so they should be at 10. Family Services should be back up to 19, and the Arts Commission should be at 1,000.
Okay. One last question I have to ask. You all know that I was very passionate about the Main Street program. It's been brought to my attention, and I remember reading this before, that they are in the middle of a lawsuit as well. There's about a $71,000 lawsuit that they're facing. And I have concerns about some of this money, since we can't direct them how to use it, might be going towards that lawsuit. So can we put that money in reserve until the lawsuit?
Error. That is not correct. That is not correct.
What's not correct?
It is not not $1 would be going toward that litigation.
But we don't know that, Tom.
Absolutely, we know that. It is a very specific line item for the salary of the Main Street director. That is not correct.
Mary, can you tell me if we can tell them how to spend their money? You're on mute.
Your mic is off.
Yes, you can tell them how to spend that money, because if one of the things that the Department for Local Government has always directed us to do with these appropriations and is specifically that if you're concerned about the way the money's being spent, then you write the checks out of your budget. So you can allocate them $4,000 for CASA, and you can actually have CASA submit you the bills. So you're writing the checks to the vendor and or to a contract that these monies are to go to. That's an option that the fiscal court has with each and every one of these appropriations. But after we give the allocation to the agency at the end of the fiscal year, it is my job and well, not specifically my job, but what I do is I follow up with each and every one of these agencies, and they certify with a signed statement that they have spent their money on these expenditures. So Magistrate Cullen, they can list probably anything they want to, but I have to take that at their word unless the fiscal court directs us to pay their bills directly. So I hope that answers your question.
I think it does. And if I remember correctly, and I'm open to correction, that the appropriation to Main Street Paravel was made to Main Street Paravel without a declaration of its specificity of what it would go to, although we all assumed it was the salary for the director.
Correct.
I think in hindsight, and it's not yet been awarded, that we need to clarify what the appropriation is specifically for.
I would agree.
I think you do have to be careful though, because should the person that's suing them be successful, I mean, the next step is you go and you try to collect in any way possible. I mean, when you get a judgment against somebody, it's a piece of paper. You just have a piece of paper, but the hard part's the collecting. But I mean, the first thing I do if I ever had a lawsuit against somebody, and get awarded a money amount, is you go and try to garnish their bank account. And so if $25,000 is in that bank account, it's just sitting there and hasn't been paid out to, for whatever, you've designated, it doesn't really matter to them, it's that money sitting there. So we do need to be careful that if there's money in there, that it goes for what we want it to, because otherwise potentially it could get garnished.
Which is again my statement that we should really hold off until this lawsuit has been settled.
In our last meeting, Magistrate Cullen, you made comments about no other employee outside the county. Well, I could make a case for several folks, not the least of which is the salaries at EDP. They're not county employees. So to split hairs on something that is infinitesimally small in terms of a salary that's now been reduced 30% already is just not acceptable to an outlying area of the county, which was characterized by the chair of the new Constitution Committee as being part of that important triangle of pulling this county together, and even confirmed in our last meeting with some comments by other magistrates. I just think it would be an outrage to cut them anymore, or to try to take away the ability of them to function as a Main Street, which, by the way, last year won statewide awards.
I agree with you, Tom. I was going to recommend raising them back to at least 30,000.
Well, they're at 38. I tried to go all the way back up, and somebody tried 35 last time, but we're already cut by 30% at $38,000.
They're at 28, Tom.
28,000, Tom.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 28. I'll take 38.
And all I'm saying is that we need to put that money in reserve to make sure it is like our attorney just said. First thing that'll happen is they'll go after the accounts, and then the taxpayers have just settled a lawsuit that is the fault of Main Street Parable. So
I just think you're making a straw argument that's not going to happen.
Sorry,
we have
what?
a countywide asset in Main Street. We have a countywide asset in the battlefield. We have amazingly people
but the battlefield,
from this state, just from this nation, but around the world who come because of the battlefield and because of Main Street. And they have done an incredible job in the 19 years my wife and I have lived here of refurbishing downtown Main Street, Perryville, and its historic value is certainly worth the $28,000 that you've already slashed and burned in the last hearing that we had.
If they've done such a great job, Tom, the city of Perryville would have the money to pay them. That's all I'm saying. But gets back to, we need to protect the funds. So all I'm
make
asking
that argument about the biggest of the entities that I'm not going to speak to again today, and what we need for growth. And we're going to have growth if we can help Main Street to help us.
All right, gentlemen. We've heard this argument before. We need to determine if we want to earmark the money that has been appropriated. First, do we change it? Second, do we earmark it specifically for a salary of the director so that it is designated for a specific purpose? We all are on the under the assumption that it is for that purpose, but we did not designate that in our guidance or direction.
Can I say one thing real quick? Sorry to interrupt. I just want everyone to know, I'm not advocating not to pay them, what you guys had already, come to an agreement about. I want to make sure that they get that money and they get to use it for Main Street, and it doesn't just go to settle the lawsuit. And that's the only thing. I want them to be able to have that money to be able to use it. So,
Thank you.
Chris,
I would recommend that we, if we leave it, that we leave it alone where it is at 28,000. If we need to earmark it, I'm good with that. If we need to make an earmark for the director's salary.
I agree. Thank you. Judge, are you saying we're going to do two votes on this?
Do we change the amount? Is that a recommendation? It's a recommendation not to change the amount.
I recommend we change it to 30,000 and earmark it for the director's salary.
I'll second that.
All right. We're going to vote on the 30,000 in earmark, and I'll go around the room. Bachelor Gay.
No, I'm good at 28.
Bachelor Short.
No.
Magic Cullen.
Nope.
Magic Kaywood.
No.
Magic Ellis.
Yes.
Magic Sammons.
Yes.
Gentlemen, it sounds like a 42 in the negative. The recommendation to 30 does not pass.
I recommend we leave it at 28 and earmark to the director's salary.
I'll second
that.
All right, we have a motion of 28 with the earmark to the director's salary. We'll go around the room. Magic Gay.
Yes.
Magic Short.
Yes.
Magic Cullen.
No.
No. Magic Kaywood.
Yes.
Magic Ellis.
Yes.
Magic Sammons.
Yes.
Gentlemen, my count, that passes 5-1.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Issue resolved.
Hey, Judge, if I could, no disrespect to anybody else that still has new business, but I have an eye doctor appointment that I need to start heading to, so I'm going to need to exit the meeting at this point in time, if y'all don't mind.
Understood.
I only have two more things. So, one,
Okay.
I want to thank our local law enforcement, both city and county, and the outlyings that they tend to be a representation of what police force should be. We've got a good crew, a good group, and they've walked shoulder to shoulder with many people that are trying to, stop the issues that are happening in larger, bigger communities. We've got a great community here, so I appreciate the hard work of the sheriff and Chief Gray and his force. My sticker is on right here. Sorry, I voted today. Make sure outside of the census, you're getting your chance to vote. The Secretary of State's given us several options on how to vote, but make sure you exercise that right that so many people have passed away and died for. And then last, I'm going to give an apology to the two people that started out this meeting, Tim Montgomery and Patricia, and I again apologize for how all this played out and how unprofessional it was. It's hard to get people to serve that are willing to serve, that are eager to serve, and so hopefully we didn't put a bad taste in anyone's mouth. I'm done.
All right, thank you. See you, Magistrate Gay. Thank you, Magistrate Cullen. Next, Magistrate Kaywood.
Judge, would you like to share this quickly, you and Mary, with our conversation with Frankfurt with the CARES Act and the money that's we'll be able to apply for and get reimbursed for some of this extra costs that we've had because of the virus?
Yes, we do know some amounts. Can we keep it at the 30,000 foot level because it's yet to be there? What Patricia Beasley was talking about is through DLG, there is some COVID-19 resources available to each county. It's based on population. So Boyle County gets an allocation to reimburse and to offset expenses that were as a result of or in response to COVID-19 related issues. In Boyle County, which we will address, I think the amount was $23,000 something. I'm pretty close on that, Barry.
You are.
And so we are in the process next time for the court to allow the approval of an application to go forward. And then in your package, you received sample resolution, which is required by the process of DLG in the state to do, but we're not going to do that this time. It's information for the future. And in the near term future, we'll do the application first. It will cover all those expenses through my understanding that are incurred for COVID-19 by the county. And there is a verification process through DLG through, I think, December 30th of 2021. Is that correct?
I believe it's 2020.
2020, excuse me, my bad. Through this coming December. The application will put us in line to make application or request for reimbursement of those funds. And then the resolution is a requirement that the DLG and the state has required of us to accompany that will be signed by each. In my opinion, it needs to be signed by not only myself, but each court member so we can be compliant. Mary?
Thank you, Judge. I think,
John, does that answer your inquiry?
I just felt like they had a need to know, and I appreciate you sharing it with us. You did very, very well. The only other thing, I just want to thank the community and the county and the people here for what I saw was a very mature and responsible community, and I was very proud of their actions and the way that they were responsible to their fellow citizen and the respect that they showed to each other. Thank you.
And I appreciate those comments in reference to those events where we've had peaceful legal protest to the event that happened in Minnesota. And I'm total agreement with you, Magistrate Kaywood.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else, John?
No, sir.
All right, next, Magistrate Ellis.
Just to get it on the record, when they have nearly completed the Dollar General store over in Parksville, there are some issues that I've gotten several inquiries from the citizens over there. They were hopeful that there was going to be landscaping, which apparently may be in question. There are issues where they put in one very large LP gas tank that is within less than a rock throw to the front porch of the one of two houses on Mill Street. I guess the most urgent thing that has happened, and I hope Dwayne's still with us, because in the Friday night storm that we had, for the first time in the 30 years that one of the residents who called me spoke up, he said that flooding in that ditch on the property that Dollar General owns, flooding came out of that ditch and all the way over into his front yard and could jeopardize the circumstances of his home. And the lighting is so severe at night that they're hoping that they can negotiate with Dollar General to do something to buffer their lighting. So that's something I'm going to be pursuing with Chris and with Dwayne to see if we can work cooperatively with our constituents, and including in that is our constituent Dollar General, to see if we can get some resolution to those issues. Number two, I would hope that our meeting might be short enough on the 18th that we could move into the administrative code discussion. And the reason I would bring it up is my recollection of all the notes that I typed up, 3 pages worth, my recollection alone is rather stale. And I would hope that if we can have it on the agenda, that everyone would take time to relook at those 28 or 29 pages. Third, I'm very pleased to announce that a month ago, when we talked briefly about the cattle situation, where farmers in Kentucky and elsewhere are getting less than $2 a pound, and by the time we see it to the consumer, it's averaging $8 and $9 a pound, our Attorney General joined forces with our Commissioner of Agriculture, and they became the 12th of AG and ag departments around the country to actually go after what has now been in print, so I can say it, the potential for discovery of price fixing, which is severely harming our cattle farmers and the consumer at the grocery store. That is now a full action in Washington, D.C. by the Department of Justice. Number 4, 3 months or more ago, we were looking at the EDP contract, especially with respect to the departure of CVB from Constitution Square, and I think we need to dust that off as well and get refreshed and take action on that. Number 5, Parks and Recreation has invited Magistrate Cullen and me to what I would call a transition meeting before the 1st, because as we all know, virtually everything involved with all the parks now is under the jurisdiction of the city of Danville, and I want to take John Bell up on that very gracious invitation. And lastly, in my meetings with John Davis about a potential member of the Boyle County Library Board, we also discussed the possibility of court meetings, as I think we discussed last year, in the large meeting room in the lower level of the library, and that too could be one where I do believe they have the equipment that could help us to meet. That's all I have, Judge. Thank you.
All right, Magistrate Ellis, is there any further discussion or movement on a recommendation out of your district to be on the library board?
Unfortunately, we were in a very tight time constraint, and we went to 2 individuals so that we could have a choice, and both of them are folks with businesses and with children and grandchildren, and they deferred, and they hope their names will be retained on lists for the future. But as Magistrate Kaywood was saying, we need each of us to get organized about this so that we know what's up and coming. And I've committed to them that they will remain on lists for consideration. and that I'll be looking into all those potential nominees for the future. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right. Magistrate Sammons, it sounds like it's your turn.
Thank you, sir. Save the best for last. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I like Kaywood, I believe it was one of them, made the comment that thinking especially our first responders and always thank our military people who are giving us great freedom we have. Judge, you and Kaywood and myself have served this great country, and we know what it is to serve, and we're very proud of these people. And I'd like to thank our sheriff's department for giving us the security, and also real proud of our chief of police. And you've got to be proud of our community with the way the two marches were handled and the protest, more or less. It's so well organized and nothing out of the way, and it's just, that's the way every city ought to be. So I'm proud of that. The only other thing I have, Judge, is the fact that we do have a little extra money coming in now. Thank you, Chris, for the amount of money that was turned over this morning. I'd like to see us go back and increase this Veterans Appreciation Luncheon. We've been given $1,000 and we cut it to $500. That's ridiculous. This is a judge, as you well know, and you always speak to at this organization luncheon. I think we need to go back and increase it back to 1,000. But I've talked to some of those people, and they need this money to rent these carts and so on, golf carts, in order to bring these people up the hill. I think I'd like to make a motion. We go back to that. And also, the only other thing I'd like to see us do, and this organization brings in thousands of people to this community, and that's to increase the brass band back to at least $10,000, increasing it only $2,500 more. I'd like to see us do those two things, and I'd make that motion to that effect.
With the money last year.
I'll second that motion.
Are we doing them together? Or are we doing them separate?
You want to do them separate?
I think we should do them separate.
The recommendation is to accept the motion, but separately. Is that okay, gentlemen?
Yes.
All right. We'll vote on the motion, the first motion on the Veterans Day luncheon, to take that appropriation from $500 to $1,000 for the purpose of supporting them with the resources to rent golf carts for the Veterans Day and luncheon. We'll go around the room. Excuse me, allergies are getting me. We'll go around the room. Magistrate Short.
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen.
Yeah, and I appreciate Phil bringing that up, because that was on my list, and that's one that got overlooked, and I completely agree with him, and that needed to be handled.
Magistrate Kaywood.
Yes, with the acknowledgement that for the transparency, as I'm a veteran, so.
I appreciate that. Magistrate Ellis.
Yes.
And Magistrate Sammons.
Yes, and Magistrate Kaywood and Magistrate and Judge, I was honored both you guys and your service. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That passes unanimously with the absence of Magistrate Gay having a prior commitment. So it passes 5-0 to change that appropriation from 500 to 1,000. The second consideration is to take the Brass Band Festival from 7,500 to 10,000. And we'll go around the room on a by name vote, starting with Magistrate Short.
No.
Magistrate Cullen.
I'm going to say no, because going back to Mary's thing is, last year we gave them 10. This year they asked for 15. The brass band is going to be shorter than it was before. So I'm gonna stick with the 75. I think that's kind of an appropriate amount, given that their brass band festival is going to happen actually in the next fiscal year.
Okay, Magistrate Kaywood.
Costs a lot of money there.
Yes, I'm going to vote yes because I'm aware that they have, some of their sponsors do not have the cash flow to help them out as they've been able to in the past. So understanding their shortfall, I will vote yes.
Thank you, John.
Magistrate Ellis.
Yes.
Okay.
Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
By my count, gentlemen, that motion to go from 7,500 to 10,000 passes with all available magistrates by the vote of 3-2.
Correct.
Magistrate Sammons, do you have any other statement you wish to make?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. I have, in closing, but I think I want to invite each of you who, magistrates that want to give me some advice on the best way to proceed with nominations to the committee structures of this county. I want to know what that is. You can email me or whatever you want to do, but we need to have an agreed upon process. I know it's in the committee structure exists within the administrative code, I think, Barry. We have discussed that because of previous ways that it was dealt with. That has not been adhered to completely in the past. Well, hardly at all in the past. So, and we all have discussed that. But I still, I'm looking for an acceptable process that meets everybody's availability and timeline so we can move forward with this without any future embarrassments. So I ask you to send that to me in your due course of actions as soon as possible for consideration. We'll discuss. And I want to announce a need to have a special call meeting on Monday, June the 29th at 9 a.m. to finalize our budget and finance obligations for submittal to next FY. Is that correct, Mary?
I'd like to clarify that if I could, Judge. I'm hoping we can do second reading and finalize our budget on the 18th. But then what we'll do on the 29th, since there's so much time between the 18th and the 31st of the year, the 30th of the year.
That's the pay bill.
Yeah, it's our fiscal year end, and we need to get as many bills paid within this fiscal year. And any budget amendments to clean up all of our financials. You know, normally our meeting is the 26th or 27th or the 25th, which gives us plenty of time, you know, to get all that stuff together. But yes, Judge, thank you for considering that.
We are hopeful. We're hopeful, to Mary's and my, not dismay, maybe disappointment, it's a better word. The first reading of the budget submittal was presented, and due to state government's COVID-19 work conditions, we've not yet received verification back from DLG. That causes some consternation regarding a advertisement for a second reading, and that's why we are stating it the way we are. But at a minimum, the 6/29 date would be to pay those last remaining bills that are required under the FY to be paid. Everybody understand?
I can't make
6/29.
the 29th. So we make it the 25th? I can't make the 29th. Any chance we can do the 25th?
Well, the 29th is basically just to pay bills and to finalize our budget. You know, the 18th is going to be the critical date to finalize our budget and to get all of those numbers in order so you know exactly what your budget is. I just need bills paid. and to have a final approval for the budget. I mean, DLG doesn't even know if they have our budget as of today. It just is amazing to me to say that, but so the 18th is when we're going to finalize our budget. If they get our budget on Wednesday and we can get the what is it, DLG's the financial person to sign our budget, then I can get that advertised and we can have second reading on the 18th on Friday, advertised on Friday. I can get that taken care of. Either way, we're still going to have all of our final budget on the 18th, and then we'll pay bills on the 29th, just pay bills.
But
And that's just a quorum, correct?
Yes, I have to have a quorum to pay bills.
Quorum, the 25th might be a little bit early in order to have those final bills.
Let's make it the 29th. I'll do what I can.
All right. All right. I don't believe I have anything else. I know earlier that the sheriff mentioned about the fiscal court accepting the 2019 local tax settlement contingent upon completion of the final tax settlement audit. Mary, do we want to defer that till the 18th, or it's just a simple, what do you think?
Okay, so this is the story. So the chief administrator for the sheriff has submitted this, and I can go through it very quickly if you'd like me to, but basically this is the settlement of the sheriff's department that's been completed, and there's a few cents, but she would like to have this approved because she wants to be the first county to be able to get her quietus with the state, and it's kind of a competition within her own self to be able to do this. And I don't see why we can't just approve it, because you're approving it contingent upon the auditor's final audit. So, and there's nothing out of the ordinary. It's a good settlement. There's only pennies that are over or under shorted for each agency that they collect on who they collect for. So I would just recommend that we approve this for Janice. And the
To be clear, the sheriff asked me if we were going to consider this, and I didn't give him an affirmative answer, or he would have been able to defend it. So I'm taking this upon myself.
Okay,
based
sorry.
on today's submission, and you heard what the treasurer had to say. I would like to entertain a motion that we approve the sheriff's local tax settlement contingent upon the final tax settlement audit.
Does anybody have any questions about what they're looking at? Okay, okay.
That was made by Magistrate Ellis, I believe.
Yes.
Correct.
Seconded by anybody?
I second it. Sammons.
Magistrate Sammons seconds the motion. Discussion on this motion, please. There being none, we'll go around the room and vote. Magistrate Short.
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen.
Yes.
Magistrate Kaywood.
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis.
Yes.
Magistrate Sammons.
Yes.
The motion to approve is approved in the affirmative unanimously, and thank you for that, gentlemen. I don't believe that I have anything else that we need to discuss today. So with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Sammons recommends adjourning.
Seconding?
Motion.
I second it.
All right, the second by Magistrate Short. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Gentlemen, thank you. Mary, thank you. Chris, thank you. Everybody have a great day. Be safe. And thank you for your service. We are stand adjourned.